All right. Sorry, everybody. I was trying to get myself together here. All right. So, dogs are going to be in the background. Don't mind them. I'm sorry. Hubby's working and I don't want to lock them out because all we will hear is Zeus scratching the door. Happy Friday. I hope everyone had a good week. I'm going to read through the comments. For everyone that's popping in, if you're new, let me know you're new, where you're from. I hope everyone's having a good Friday. To me, it doesn't feel like Friday today for some reason. So I know I was talking about the live being at like 3:30, but I ended up needing to push it back a little bit. So let's give everyone a couple minutes. Hi, Sam. How are you? Amelia, hi. Martha, how are you? If the dogs bark a little bit, you guys, I'm sorry. I'll have to mute the microphone and tell them no. I hope everyone's doing good. Katie, hello, Frank. We'll give everyone a couple minutes to pop in here. So today I want to go over the charging documents for Tyler Robinson. I don't think it'll take too long. And then we will go over some videos that I wanted to go over. I know we were all discussing a couple different things. We were talking about Erica Kirk's friend, Tracy Martin, that did a video with another podcast. I did not know that was happening. So when you guys told me in the last live, I went and looked it up. I'm going to watch that with you guys in real time. I have not watched it. I saw like maybe 30 seconds of it. And so we'll be watching that. What else is the plan? I think that's the main plan. I want to go over the charging documents and stuff. I think it's important. And yeah, we'll go from there. So hold on, let me rip this page out of my notebook because I have lots of notes to get through the live today. Undercover agent, hello. Muke, hello. Hold on. Okay, sorry. I didn't want you guys to have to hear that super loud noise when I rip the paper out of the notebook. I just don't want to have to like flip back and forth through notes when we're talking and you guys hear the papers. So how is everybody? Let me know in the chat. How's your Friday? Does anyone have any fun plans this weekend? Any fun plans this weekend? Tomorrow's my birthday. I turned 37. So I don't know what we're going to do. I think we might go to dinner. But like no big plans this weekend. My mom's here next week. So before we get started, my mom's here next week. I have other family coming in as well. So I will have a video posting every day. I will try to still do the live on Wednesday. It'll be probably during the day. We'll probably do 12:30, 12 or 12:30 on Wednesday. And then again, while my mom is here, I'll have videos that post, but I will not be doing lives while family is here. It's just when you're entertaining and stuff, it's very difficult to add in all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to do my best to just at least get videos out for you guys so you guys have something. But yeah, raining in South Texas. Oh my goodness, Florida is getting so much rain and we're like in a drought. So it's the rain that we've had the last couple of days yesterday was crazy. The weather was so bad. We had a really bad storm the day before. Today they said it was going to rain, but we still don't have anything, but it's been on and off sun, but the sky always looks like it's going to pour. So it's one of those where you're carrying your raincoat and your umbrella everywhere because you just don't know what's going to happen. And the wind was crazy for those 2 days too. Hold on, guys. I may have to kick these dogs out. I'm just going to mute it when I have to yell at them. Okay, so it looks like there's like 16 of us. We're just going to go ahead and get started. More people, I'm sure, hopefully will join here soon. I don't know if I figured 5:30 would be good because it didn't seem like a lot of other people had content creators had lives tonight scheduled. So I figured we would be okay to do the evening. Um, I've told you guys like it's hard to figure out like a good time to go where you can have a good amount of people in there and everyone, be there for the actual live versus watching the replay. It's just hard to know. We've had one small storm in 6 months. Yeah, we haven't had rain in the longest, so we needed it, but um it's just like the amount of rain we got, and because of the drought, like there was a lot of flooding. So it's been kind of crazy. All right, so we're just going to hop right in, and hopefully when people pop in, they can keep up. So these are the charging documents. Guys, let me know in the chat if you guys have looked through the charging documents yet. I haven't seen any content creators really cover going through the charging documents. So I thought that would be a good live to do, and then just go over more Charlie Kirk stuff. But I figured the charging documents were good. So we're going to be going over charging documents in the Tyler Robinson case. Again, I haven't seen anybody really do it, so I figured it'd be good to break things down. Before we get started, I kind of just want to go over a little bit of Utah law. So in Utah, they have unanimous verdict. Unanimous verdict is required for all criminal cases to convict a defendant. So if the jury cannot reach a unanimous decision, the judge may declare a hung jury, resulting in a mistrial. So if just one person doesn't agree with the group, and I believe in Utah, it's typically 4 to 12 jurors. Most of the time it's 12 in most places. So you're talking about if 11 people agree and there's just one person off, that you can't do anything about it. So that's why we saw Andrew Colvett and Blake Neff have the hissy fit, because they're like, oh, well, if you just, talk about this and there's just like one person off, like we lose this whole case. So yeah. So I just wanted to go over that because I think that's important. Different states have different rules. In Utah, in civil cases, a verdict requires only 3/4 majority for jurors. It doesn't require unanimity. So, but that's different, obviously, from criminal. Let's see, what else is I going to talk about? So all jurors must agree on a verdict, either guilty, not guilty, by reason of insanity, or guilt and mentally ill. Okay. Civil cases, I went over 75% of the jurors have to agree. And I went over the jury size, 4 to 12 members. The Supreme Court mandated in 2020 that all state criminal trials require a unanimous verdict to convict, ensuring uniform application of the Sixth Amendment as noted by the Constitution. So let's see. All right. So the key here is if they can convince the jury that any of this evidence is fake, doctored, whatever you want to call it, the entire prosecution's case goes right in the trash can. And that's why you have Andrew Colvett and Blake Neff freaking out, because they know that if they can just convince people that just one part of this case is fishy, the whole thing they know is donezo. And so that's where you're seeing all this panic. And, they're on the Charlie Kirk show with, oh, you guys are going to ruin this and we're not going to get a fair trial for Charlie and da 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 da. It's just like constant. And then you're like, where's that gag order? Like, what happened to the gag order? Yeah, the gag order might as well just be fake, because it doesn't exist. If you got people talking that much, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So I wanted to at least go over that. Anything important that the prosecution presents that would be like very key. Again, if the defense can create reasonable doubt, which that is what the defense usually tries to do, okay, or a witness is willfully lying on the stand, they're giving false testimony, you're actually told in the jury instructions you can disbelieve anything that was presented in trial. Okay, that's literally on the government website. Criminal jury instructions in Utah are guided by the Model Utah Jury Instructions, 2nd edition, which provides standardized plain language instructions for criminal cases. The instructions are developed by a committee to ensure jury understanding of legal principles, including elements of crimes, defenses, and burden of proof available on the Utah court's website. the key aspects of the Utah criminal jury instructions. Let's start with the official source. Obviously, we said was the instructions that we told you about the second edition, which includes preliminary instructions, instructions during the trial, and final instructions for deliberation. Every state has those when they send you off to deliberate to figure out if someone's guilty or not guilty. Everybody gets those for whatever their state's guidelines are. The instructions are drafted to be easily understood by jurors, focusing on clear explanations of the law. They cover the definition of crimes, the presumption of innocence, the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, and the elements of specific offenses. Instructions are generally divided into preliminary instructions, instructions during trial, and final instructions. So basically, that's just breaking down when you get selected to be a juror, they tell you, okay, when you're in the courtroom, this is the standard of behavior. This is what you should be doing. You can take notes. You can't take notes, whatever it is. And then they have obviously your final instructions. And the instructions are publicly available and can be accessed through the Utah court's website again. So if you guys want to look that up, you guys can go ahead and do that. The instructions ensure that jurors apply the law correctly to the facts they have determined, aiming for a fair trial. Again, I'll bring it back to Karen Reed. I don't know if you guys remember that in the second trial, especially, they made sure that people were not talking amongst each other. There's so many rules, and they really make sure that people are doing that. And I remember at one point, if you guys watched the trial, they even changed seating because people were talking amongst each other. So they kind of did a different seating chart and all that kind of stuff. They moved people around. So it's very strict. You have to follow the rules, and it's for a good reason. Let's see. So that was the gist of like what I wanted to go over really quick with jury instructions. This was the other thing I was going to talk about, Karen Reed. Do you guys remember, and let me know, chat, if you guys do, if you followed the Karen Reed trial, where they made the form in the second trial like really confusing? Remember, like the jury had a verdict. So they called everybody back. They're like, we have a verdict. I was so excited. I'm like, oh, it's in, whatever. And then you get in front of the TV and they're like, oh, we don't have it's actually a question. They were very confused about the jury form, and they had changed it. And they were saying, hey, listen, this is really confusing. And the defense was saying, like David Unetti, Alessi, Alan Jackson were saying, why do you guys have the form like this? Can you guys give a different form or make a different form? Because this is very misleading. And eventually we'll go over that form. But they do, in the Karen Reed trial, especially, that form was extremely misleading and very confusing. And I'm pretty sure that if that's the form they used in the first trial, I could see how, I don't know that I believe it was truly a mistrial in the first one. I think the forms were confusing and it got messed up. So in the second one, the defense really wanted to make sure that the forms were better explained. You clearly knew what was what. And I'll have to find the form and pull it up just to show you guys what I'm talking about. But it was kind of crazy. Hello, Joey, Heather, how are you? Candace is live now. She is dropping nukes. That's why views are low. I thought Candace wasn't coming back until next week. What? I thought Candace wasn't coming back till next week. So, whoops. Well, hopefully people will watch the replay. That's okay. All right. So I pulled up the forms. All right. So this is in the 4th Judicial District Court, Utah County, state of Utah. Hold on. Oh, I'm getting all over now that I got to stay out of the comments because I'm going to get all confused now here. So, okay. You guys see Tyler James Robinson, the case number. This is coming from the courthouse. The state of Utah, through the Utah Attorney's Office, charges the defendant with the commission of the following offenses: aggravated murder, a capital felony in violation of Utah Code. Hold on, guys. Code on September 10, 2025 in Utah County. The defendant, Tyler James Robinson, intentionally or knowingly caused the death of Charlie Kirk, Under the following circumstance, the defendant knowingly created a great risk of death to another individual other than Charlie Kirk and the defendant. Notice, conviction of this offense may carry the death penalty or pursuant to Utah Code 76.3, 207.7, a mandatory term of imprisonment for life without parole or an indeterminate term of none less than 25 years and may be for life. Now, we all know that they're talking about life sentence, but they're also talking about putting the death penalty on the table. Victim targeting enhancement in violation of Utah Code. Tyler James Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because of Tyler James Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression. Notice, if the trier of fact finds beyond a reasonable doubt that the victim targeting enhancement applies, the sentencing judge or the board of pardons and parole shall consider the defendant's selection of the victim as an aggravating factor. Violent offense committed in the presence of a child, aggravating factor, the sentencing judge or the board of pardons and parole shall consider as an aggravating factor in their deliberations that the defendant committed a violent criminal offense in the presence of a child. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony in violation of the Utah Code. And that on September 10, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant Tyler James Robinson discharged a firearm in the direction of Charlie Kirk, knowing or having reason to believe that Charlie Kirk may be endangered by the discharge of the firearm, and the act caused serious bodily injury to Charlie Kirk. Victim targeting enhancement in violation of Utah Code. Tyler James Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because of Tyler James Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression. Notice, if the trier of the fact finds beyond a reasonable doubt that the victim targeting enhancement applies, the sentencing judge or board of pardons and parole shall consider the defendant's selection of the victim as an aggravating factor. Violent offense committed in the presence of a child, aggravating factor, the sentencing judge or board of pardons and parole shall consider as an aggravating factor in their deliberations that the defendant committed a violent criminal offense in the presence of a child. Count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony in violation of Utah Code. And that on September 10th of 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler Robinson, with intent to hinder, delay, or prevent the investigation, apprehension, prosecution, conviction, or punishment of any person regarding conduct that constitutes a criminal offense, concealed or removed the firearm used to shoot Charlie Kirk, and the conduct that constitutes an offense would be a capital felony or first-degree felony. Count 4, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony in violation of Utah Code, and that on or about September 11th of 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, with intent to hinder, delay, or prevent the investigation, apprehension, prosecution, conviction, or punishment of any person regarding conduct that constitutes a criminal offense, destroyed, concealed, or removed the clothing he wore during the shooting, and the conduct that constitutes an offense would be a capital felony or first-degree felony. Count 5, tampering with a witness, a third-degree felony in a violation of Utah Code. On September 10, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler Robinson, believed that an official proceeding or investigation was pending or about to be instituted, intended to prevent an official proceeding or investigation, and attempted to induce or otherwise cause his roommate to withhold testimony, information, documentation, or an item, to wit, directing his roommate to delete incriminating text messages. I'm going to pause here for a second. That he attempted to induce or otherwise cause his roommate to withhold testimony or information. That's interesting to me because, yeah, he said like delete these and what have you, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I consider that necessarily. I don't even know. I just don't know that if I agree with that. I also think that Tyler or Lance not calling the police and be like, hey, my boyfriend, my lover, did this when he knew. It's crazy that he was never charged with anything. They questioned him relatively fast. I think they said he only had him in custody for like maybe 30 minutes to question him about this whole thing. and then let him go. And he obviously had some involvement in this, obviously, as we see here. Count 6, tampering with a witness, a third-degree felony in violation of the Utah Code. And that are about September 11th in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler Robinson, believed that an official proceeding or investigation was pending or about to be instituted intended to prevent an official proceeding or investigation and attempted to induce or otherwise cause his roommate to withhold testimony or about or information, to wit, directing his roommate to stay silent if police question the roommate. Count 7, violent offense committed in the presence of a child, a Class A misdemeanor in violation of Utah Code, and that or about September 10, 2025, Utah County, the defendant Tyler Robinson committed criminal homicide in the physical presence of a child younger than 14 years old, with knowledge that a child was present and may have seen or heard the commission of the criminal homicide. Victim targeting enhancement in violation of Utah Code. Tyler Robinson selected Charlie Kirk because of Tyler Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression. I wonder why they have to put that a good bajillion times in the charging document. Probable cause statement. Brian Davis of the Utah State Bureau of Investigations, having probable cause to believe that the defendant committed the above listed offenses, submitted the following evidence in support of the filing of this information. This is going to be juicy. On September 10, 2025, at approximately 12:23 p.m., Charlie Kirk was shot and killed while speaking to a large crowd on the campus of Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Police found the suspected murder weapon, a bolt-action 30-06 rifle, nearby. Over the next approximately 33 hours, police conducted a manhunt for the shooter until the evening of September 11, 2025, when Tyler James Robinson surrendered to the police at the Washington County Sheriff's Office. DNA consistent with Robinson was found on the rifle's trigger. After shooting Mr. Kirk, Robinson hid the gun, count 3, discarded the clothing he wore when he fired the rifle, count 4, and told his lover/roommate to delete incriminating text messages, count 5, and not to talk to police, count 6. Children were present at the time of the shooting, count 7. So we'll stop there to go through just this little. Let's try to go little by little. So we just keep it smooth, and I'll have to go back and forth to the chat because I'm on a different page than what you guys are seeing, so I could see this bigger. So the bolt action rifle, I am going to go over because there's a lot of interesting things with the bolt action rifle, like how it works. So I had asked around. I also looked into this. So it was interesting because they put it was in a wooded area, but allegedly it was wrapped in a towel and it was leaned up against a chicken coop is what really where it was. So in the neighbor's backyard, basically, to this house, 2 houses down from where the school owned that empty vacant house, which is weird. Just a side note. So hold on, let me read this because this is in small writing. Shell casings. Okay, so we'll wait till we get to the shell casing part then, and I'll go over that. Let me check the chat. How is everybody? Let's see. I'm just trying to see if everyone's doing okay. Yeah, really, he should have. This is a good point. Really, he should have been treated as an accomplice at the beginning of the investigation, in my opinion. That's true. And he was an accomplice, and he was either, I always say accomplice because I don't know if it would be accomplice or if it would fall under, oh my goodness, now I'm going to have a brain fart. I went over that. It's not aiding and abetting, but probably closer to accomplice, in my opinion. He knew what happened and he didn't call the police. That's still wrong. The 33 hours thing, I've heard a lot of people talk about this, that it wasn't exactly 33 hours. It was like 32 hours and like what? I'm sure you guys, let me know in chat what you heard, but people have timed this and it was like 32 hours and like 20 minutes or something. So it's like we're really trying to work that 33 in there, which was weird to me. Obviously, I know that has nothing to do with what they're going to talk about in trial, but it was, to me, it was weird. And the fact that they have surrendered to police at the Washington County Sheriff's Office. Well, we don't even have the proof that he walked in there anymore. That's deleted, so that's crazy. DNA consistent with Robinson was found on the rifle's trigger. It was, but so was like six other people's DNA. And it's his rifle. So it's not weird that his DNA is on the gun. You would expect that it was his rifle. We're like, that alone is weird. All right, so let's go into the shooting. Turning Point USA, a nonprofit organization founded in 2012 by Charlie Kirk. We should put a money laundering, just kidding, allegedly money laundering foundation. I'm joking, guys, sort of. Allegedly, don't sue me. Don't try to sue me. Organized a public outdoor event to be held at noon on September 10, 2025 at UVU. The event was the first in a series of similar events to be held at college campuses nationwide. Mr. Kirk is a well-known conservative activist famous for these types of events where he discusses various political issues and debates with audience members. His events and comments have garnered a significant number of supporters and drawn what is it that I have never heard that the ear of many who disagree with his political views. The event at UVU was announced far in advance, is like what they say, like maybe a month, 2 weeks before. That's far in advance. That's funny. And garnered significant publicity and interest. We should all try to see if there's flyers, like where is all this promoting that went on? Because I think a lot of people have talked about there basically was very little promoting for this event. So that could probably be disproven. Consequently, several hundred people attended. Mr. Kirk was interacting with the crowd before the event officially got underway. Then approximately at noon, Mr. Kirk seated himself under a portable canopy behind a table and microphone. He began speaking to the crowd and fielding questions from attendees, a format Mr. Kirk commonly used at his events. Mr. Kirk allowed his questioners to approach a microphone positioned directly in front of him. Mr. Kirk's team members were very close to him on his right and left, as well as behind his canopy and others at various locations near him. The large crowd surrounded Mr. Kirk on three sides. Temporary metal fencing separated attendees from Mr. Kirk by only a matter of feet. Directly above and behind Mr. Kirk was the UVU Hall of Flags, an indoor walkway spanning several hundred feet with floor-to-ceiling glass windows, which overlooked the plaza where Mr. Kirk was seated. People were on the walkway at the time of the shooting. Approximately 15 minutes into the event, Mr. Kirk was answering a question about mass shootings by transgender individuals when a gunshot rang out. The bullet struck Mr. Kirk and in his neck. He slumped to the ground almost immediately. I don't know why that detail is whatever. The bullet's trajectory passed closely to several other individuals behind Mr. Kirk, including the questioner who was standing directly in front of Mr. Kirk. Children were visible near Mr. Kirk's stage when he was shot. Mr. Kirk was rushed to a nearby hospital where he was declared deceased. Really? Because somebody declared him deceased while standing in a pile of rocks. Mr. Farnsworth. The medical examiner report is pending. Still? The UVU surveillance investigation. At the moment of the shot, the UVU police officer was watching the crowd from an elevated vantage point. As soon as he heard the shot, he began to scan the area for threats. Believing the shot came from a rifle because of its sound, he looked for potential sniper positions. He noted a roof area approximately 160 yards away from Mr. Kirk as a potential shooting position and rushed there to look for evidence. Interesting, considering Brian Harpool didn't think that was a problem. Didn't think the stairwell to the roof was a problem. Don't cover that. No big deal. It's just something people can access super easily. Nothing to see here. Whatever. The suspect's shooting position is adjacent to an open, publicly accessible walkway. To access the suspected location, a person must climb over a railing and then drop to the roof only slightly below. Did you guys see? You guys all saw the little fence. I mean, that fence was nothing. I mean, it might as well have not been there. It's not like it would have been a challenge for an adult to get over that to get where they need to be. The UVU officer climbed over the railing and down onto the roof. He then walked to the suspect's shooting position and confirmed a clear shooting corridor between the position and Mr. Kirk's seat. I have a question right there. Here's my issue. Isn't that something you would not do? Like maybe you would go to the fence and see if that person's up there, but that's contaminating a crime scene. So now you have Tyler Robinson's alleged footprints or whatever, DNA or whatever's been there. You've now disturbed because you walked all the way up to that position and thought, yeah, this looks like a place that someone would shoot from. What? That's contaminating a crime scene. Even FBI has said that when they go to a house and they approach a crime scene, they create their own pathway. Like for instance, with Nancy Guthrie, the FBI, if they were a decent FBI, let's just start with that. If they actually cared about figuring out what's going on, they wouldn't walk up the driveway and go onto Nancy's porch through the walkway. They would pick a side, probably in the lawn, and they would walk and approach the house from that. And then if they had to access the door to get in the house and that was the only way to get into the house, then yes, they would have no choice but to go on the porch. But they try to create their own pathway to not contaminate any evidence on the pathway to get into the house. That's literally been said in interviews. So you just now have put this in writing that this man has contaminated the crime scene. Am I right or wrong? Does that make sense to anybody? Am I making sense, chat? Let me know if I'm making sense. Let me know what you guys think. I'll be reading through the comments here in a little bit. But that is contaminating a crime scene. I also have questions about, so he saw someone over there and then he decided, hey, I should run over there and like see this vantage point and be like, yep, for sure. Like this, it's weird. When people over explain and they add in these details, like there's details in this to me that don't matter. Like that says something's weird. Because typically when you're lying or you're guilty, you add in details or you mansplain, as they say. You know what I mean? Your way through things. And there's details in here that just like are really A, not accurate in my opinion, and B, they're just unnecessary. And why would you not keep this just to the point, brief, factual, whatever? But yeah. The UV officer climbed, or we already went over that. Okay. Climbed to the railing. He then walked to the suspect's shooting position and confirmed a clear shooting corridor between the position. Oh gosh. Yeah, because we need him to tell us that, you know, hey, we need you to tell us that that was a possible successful shooting spot. Whatever. The UVU or sorry, you guys, I am so bad with reading today. He also noticed markings in the gravel rooftop consistent with a sniper having lain on the roof. Impressions in the gravel potentially left by the elbows, knees, and feet of a person in a prone shooting position. I wonder how true that is. We never even saw pictures of that. That there was proof that someone was laying there. We didn't even get to see like impressions in the gravel, which I would imagine, like if I laid on gravel, I don't think that it would be like if I stood up, you would see where my body was. I seriously doubt that, but whatever. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm stupid. You guys let me know. Police reviewed surveillance from the camera covering the roof and discovered that it recorded an individual dressed in dark clothing cross the railing from the public walkway and drop onto the roof at approximately 12:15. Although the individual moved out of the camera's view for a short time, the camera again captured the individual running across the roof and then low crawling to the area UVU officer recognized as where the suspect sniper had dropped into a prone position, shooting position after a short time, which matches the known time of the shot. The individual arose and ran across the roof to the northeast. So at 12:15, the camera caught this happen. They're claiming people are watching the cameras and that's how they ran out there so he could stand in this spot and be like, yeah, this has got a clear shot to Charlie Kirk. This is how this happened. But he didn't get his ass out of the chair to start heading that way and like maybe call security or maybe like page somebody. Maybe we got walkie-talkies, we radio somebody. He figured, well, you know, there's someone crawling there. Like, maybe it's my eyeballs. I'm seeing stuff. Like, what? The camera caught that. You just said you have people watching the cameras. You have people watching what's going on. He saw this. So and heard the noise. And then, it's just, none of it makes any sense. I'm sorry. I can't with this. Let's see. Sorry, I'm getting off topic because I can't believe it. This discovery led to an intensive review of UVU surveillance recordings to attempt to track and identify the suspect. Surveillance revealing the following. At approximately 11:51, the suspect entered campus from the north. He is seen wearing a black shirt with an American flag in its center, a dark baseball cap, and large sunglasses. Okay. Throughout the surveillance, the suspect keeps his head down and really raises his head enough to get a clear image of his face. So, how do we have a clear image of his face? And we're identifying a person by a not clear image of their face. A little scary. As he proceeds across the campus, he is seen walking with an unusual gait. The suspect walks with very little bending in his right leg, consistent with a rifle being hidden in the pants. This unusual gait continues until the suspect is seen crossing the railing off the open walkway and onto the roof, where he leaves the camera's view. A camera later captures the suspect as he runs across the roof to the suspect's shooting position. Immediately after the shot was fired, a camera captures the suspect running across the roof carrying a item whose shape is consistent with a rifle. The suspect is then seen climbing down. He appears to drop the item he was carrying as he hits the ground in a controlled fall. He then picks up the item and runs towards the northeast end of campus. Expanded crime scene investigation. Law enforcement officers followed the suspect's escape path to the northeast end of the campus, where they believe the suspect left campus and entered a wooded area. In that wooded area, investigators found a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a towel. The rifle contaminated 1 spent round and 3 unspent rounds. This is consistent with the facts officers observed at the time of and immediately after the shooting. No shell casings were found on the roof, suggesting a bolt action rather than an auto loading weapon, and only a single round was fired. Each round in the rifle contained an etched inscription as follows: fired cartridge, notices bulge. What is this? OWO, what's this? Second cartridge, hey fascist, catch. Arrow symbols. Third cartridge, Obelicio, Bellicio, Bellocio, Cio. Fourth cartridge, if you read this, you are gay, LMAO. The rifle, ammunition rounds, and towel were sent for forensic processing. DNA consistent with Robinson's was found on the trigger, other parts of the rifle. The fired cartridge casing, 2 of the 3 unfired cartridges, and the towel. So right here, again, I'm going to bring it back to, we found out that there's more than one person's DNA on that rifle. It's somewhere between 5 to 7. I can't remember what it is. It might even be 6 or 7. They have Tyler Robinson's DNA on there, but it is his gun. No one's denying that it's his gun, so his DNA is going to be on there. But they still should figure out who else's DNA is on this gun, right? And we should question those people, because how do we know he acted alone? We don't. We're going off of these Discord chats that now allegedly, supposedly, were sent while he was in custody of the police. So that does not make sense. Then we also heard that the bullets, supposedly, if you listen to Blake Neff, he says that it was written in Sharpie. Everyone's like, oh, it was written in Sharpie. Well, then we hear it's etched in there, which, by the way, imagine how much work it would take for you to etch that stuff. Okay. How long in advance did he decide to do that? I mean, that does not make a whole lot of sense. I don't even think like the Bella CO. Why would you put that? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. What does that have to do with anything? So that's weird. Again, guys, at the end, I'll do super chats and memberships and all that stuff that I see. So if you guys, if any of those come in, don't worry, I'll do that all at the end. And I will go back and read through some of the comments after I'm just trying to get through the documents before I jump back in the chat. Let's see. All right, let's get back to this. Robinson's mother explained. Oh, wait, hold on. Here, I'm jumping ahead. Law enforcement was unable to immediately locate the shooter, so they published photos of the shooter from the UVU surveillance cameras and asked for the public's help to identify him. Meanwhile, law enforcement continued to try to identify the shooter through other means. I have so many concerns about this because they admitted that the footage that they had was not very clear. And his head was facing mainly down. So if you don't have a very clear shot of this face and the person's looking down, how can you identify? And I could tell you what, as a mother, I would have to know damn well that looks identical to my son in a lot of ways before I would call the police and be like, my son had to do this. Or before I'd be calling anybody and be like, hey, I think it's my son. I would have to know. Like, I would, first off, the phone call to the kid, I would be terrorizing them. It wouldn't be like, oh, yeah, I've been home the whole time. Okay, bye. That's weird. Most parents would be like, oh, well, okay, because Charlie Kirk was shot and killed. The person on the TV resembles you. And I need to know for a fact that you were at home. It wouldn't be like, no parent would be like that quick with it when you're like, oh, no, I was at home today. Okay. All right, have a good day, honey. You know what I mean? If it really genuinely looked like your kid. You guys let me know, but I would be way worse than that. I would be asking a ton of questions. Yeah, exactly. She threw her son under the bus very easily, didn't she? Yeah, she did. And I don't think any parent, if you could not see the person's face entirely, would you guys like be calling or telling anyone like, hey, I think my kid did this? I doubt it. This is your kid. You're not going to do that. Yeah, consistent with new filing explains that there was at least 5 plus mixed DNA together. The sample was so small they had to run additional testing that is widely discredited. Well, we're using discredited testing anyway. So so we're using that to confirm it's Tyler Robinson, but we can't use it to confirm anyone else's DNA? Yeah. The Washington County investigation on the evening of September 11th, 2025, as law enforcement continued their investigation, Tyler James Robinson went to the Washington County Sheriff's Office with his parents and a family friend to turn himself in. Robinson's mother stated the following to police on September 11, 2025, the day after the shooting. Robinson's mother saw the photo of the shooter in the news and thought the shooter looked like her son. Robinson's mother called her son and asked him where he was. He said he was at home sick and that he had also been at home on September 10. Robinson's mother expressed concern to her husband that the suspect shooter looked like Robinson. Robinson's father agreed. Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started to lean more to the left, becoming more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. She stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male who was transitioning genders. Hold on, I have a question. Am I crazy? Didn't Tyler not come out to his parents yet? That was said somewhere where he had not come out to his parents yet. He was afraid to do that, but he was planning to. Am I right or wrong? Chat, please let me know. Am I wrong with that? Because to my knowledge, he had never come out to his parents. He had never introduced them to Tyler. But let me know. But I'm pretty sure I heard that. So that's interesting. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, who have very different political views. In the one conversation before the shooting, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk would be holding an event at UVU, which Robinson said was a stupid venue for the event. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate. Robinson's father reported that when his wife showed him the surveillance image of the suspected shooter in the news, he agreed that it looked like their son. He also believed that the rifle that police suspected the shooter used matched a rifle that was given to his son as a gift. As a result, Robinson's father contacted his son and asked him to send a picture of the rifle. Robinson did not respond. However, Robinson's father spoke on the phone with with Tyler. Robinson implied that he planned to take his own life. Robinson's parents were able to convince him to meet at their home. We're going to stop there because the photo that they released, everyone was talking about, and they said, well, this doesn't look like grandpa's rifle, right? From like, what was it, World War II? It was like this old gun. And they said, okay, well, that's not an old gun. And then we found out that it was a stock photo. So how did his dad realize, hey, that looks like my dad's gun? I better call Tyler and see why can you send me a picture of this gun that is my dad's or whoever's dad? That's weird because the stock photo is what was on the news allegedly now. We found out. So how did that happen? As they discussed the situation, Robinson implied that he was the shooter and stated that he couldn't go to jail and just wanted to end it. He implied that he was the shooter. When asked why he did it, Robinson explained there is too much evil and the guy, Charlie Kirk, spreads too much hate. They talked about Robinson turning himself in and convinced Robinson to speak with a family friend who is a retired deputy sheriff. At Robinson's father's request, the family friend met with Robinson and his parents and convinced Robinson to turn himself in. The family friend spoke to police and reported telling Robinson that it would be best if he brought all the evidence with him to the sheriff's office to avoid police having to search his parents' home. The family friend also asked Robinson if he had any clothes that were related to what he did. Robinson implied that he had disposed of the clothes in different areas. Again, if you watch the video, I went over this. What the sheriff, how the sheriff explained, who the sheriff now, by the way, that randomly decided to resign abruptly. The story is different. You know what I mean? The who talked to who to convince them to come in. And again, we have deleted footage. None of that matches up. It's like, there's so much reasonable doubt in this case. I would imagine that Tyler Robinson's defense probably gets on YouTube several times a day. And I would hope that they're using all the information that's circulating the internet is a way to prove reasonable doubt. Not that lawyers can't figure it out themselves, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of things that the internet sleuths have caught. And I would imagine the defense it's helping make their load a little easier or lighter, rather. So, yeah, let's continue. The roommate police interviewed Robinson's roommate, a biological male who was involved in a romantic relationship with Robinson. The roommate told police that the roommate received messages from Robinson about the shooting and provided those messages to police. On September 10, 2025, the roommate received a text message from Robinson which said, "Drop what you are doing, look under my keyboard." The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that said, "I had the opportunity to take Charlie Kirk out, or take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." Police found a photograph of this note. The following text exchange then took place. After reading the note, the roommate responded, "What? You're joking, right?" By the way, wouldn't they want to put the time stamps in here? I mean, this is filed with the court. I would want all the time stamps. Just saying. Who typed this up? Surely not a professional, I would imagine. Robinson, I am still okay, my love, but am stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I got to grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you. Roommate, you weren't the one who did it, right? Robinson, I'm sorry. Roommate, I thought they caught the person. Robinson, No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I'd planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering. How would he know that there's one vehicle lingering? I've always said this, like, if he's in his car and aren't you going to be like with the seat reclined, laying back down, maybe in the back seat laying down? You're not going to be sitting up to look out the window, whatever. And allegedly, where the vehicle was parked, you mean to tell me they're searching for the gun in the backyard of places, but they didn't canvass that street and look in the windows of parked cars and stuff? Come on. It's weird. It is weird. And let's say the car, let's just say if the car wasn't on that back road anymore, how the hell does he know that vehicles are still, there's one vehicle lingering? Make the math. Roommate, why? Robinson, why did I do it? Roommate, yeah. Robinson, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. Roommate, how long have you been planning this? Robinson, a bit over a week, I believe. Now, hold on. They say that this had been highly advertised, planned in such advance, but he just decided a bit over a week ago that he was going to just like throw this thing together and like act it out, and like he was going to have all his T's crossed and I's dotted. By the way, why didn't you just take your damn rifle with you? Why would you set it down anyway? That still to me doesn't even make any sense. I would not put that down at that point. If you made it to your car just fine, wouldn't you be able to, you can't run with the rifle? I mean, again, make it make sense. A bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there's a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. Also, where they allegedly found it, and even where in the neighbor's backyard it was, it's not like they had far to go to find it. Those are areas that they would have looked. So if you were going to stash it, wouldn't you have been more strategic about where you left it, like not in the open? It was not in like all these bushes. Like if you see Ian Carroll did a walkthrough and all that stuff, and it's not like this heavily brush, like trees everywhere, like can't make it through area. So the way they make it sound and where it actually was found, they're two very different things. Robinson, I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried. The vehicle thing, I can't. I am worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. I don't know if it had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. Well, no, but it would trace to your grandpa, stupid. Wouldn't be hard to figure out who else had it once he says I gave it to my grandson. Okay. I worried about prints. I had to leave it in the bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the fuck will I explain this? Explain losing it to my old man. Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The fucking messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notices bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke. All right, I'm going to have to leave it. That really fucking sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine. I don't know. I think that was a $2K scope. Do you mean to tell me you're possibly going to get caught for assassinating somebody, and you're naming out the price of a scope? You're worried about the scope? You got way bigger problems, dude, than the 2K scope. Promise. Like going to jail forever, getting the death penalty, I would be way more concerned about that versus the cost of this scope. Priorities are not right. Mind is not in a good place. Robinson, delete this exchange. Robinson, my dad wants photos of the rifle. He says grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle and it is very unique. He's calling me, not answering. Again, why are these not timestamped? I would be curious why they're not timestamped, because from what it sounded like, the mom approached the dad the next day, not the day of, and was like, hey, the picture looks like our son. And the dad said, yeah, the rifle, da 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 da. Why are these not timestamped? I don't understand that. Yeah, outfits, really. My husband would never refer to anything as an outfit. Actually, I know so many guys, gay, straight, it doesn't matter, would never say outfits. But whatever. That's apparently we're just I that is a whole nother thing. Robinson, since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. Wouldn't he have been diehard MAGA before Trump got in office? Why once he's in office? People who like Trump have been pro Trump as soon as he was running. That's again, why would that be part of the conversation when you're in the midst of going down for murder, possibly? Robinson, I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy for the sheriff. Robinson, you are all I worry about, love. Roommate, I'm much more worried about you. Robinson, don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you any questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent. Thanks, but I really needed you to tell me all that. The search of Robinson's residence. Police, by the way, where are the date and times for all of this? All of this should have timestamps, and none of this has timestamps. And the fact that this is filed with a court, I think this is very strange. There's no timestamps. If this came, okay, sorry. I'm getting carried away. The search of Robinson's residence. Police executed a search warrant on Robinson's residence. During that search, police discovered a shell casing with etchings, like the etchings found on the shells in the rifle near UVU. Police also found several targets with bullet holes in Robinson's home. Count 1, aggravated murder, pertains to Robinson shooting and killing Charlie Kirk in a manner that exposed others, in addition to Mr. Kirk, to a great risk of death. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm, pertains to Robinson shooting toward Mr. Kirk, knowing that doing so would endanger those in the bullet's path. The shot caused serious bodily injury to Mr. Kirk, ultimately resulting in his death. Count 3, obstructing justice, pertains to Robinson's removal and hiding of the rifle he used to shoot Mr. Kirk. Count 4, obstructing justice, pertains to Robinson's removal and hiding of the clothing he wore when he shot Mr. Kirk. Count 5, witness tampering, pertains to Robinson's statement and his romantic telling his roommate to delete their exchange that followed the shooting. Again, why would any professional include the word romantic in this statement? Why not just witness tampering pertains to Robinson's statement to his roommate telling his roommate to delete their text exchange? Like, where is, like, why are they using all the romantic and all these weird ways to, oh, did I just think I saw romantic? Sorry, guys, my eyeballs. I'm going to have to put these glasses on. You guys can laugh at me later. Oh, these are dirty. Tampering pertains to Robinson's statement to his roommate telling roommate, if any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent. Count 7, violence offense committed in the presence of a child, pertains to Robinson's shooting of Mr. Kirk in the presence of children under the age of 14 who were visible at the event. Based upon evidence received from Brian Davis of the Utah State Bureau of Investigators, I have reason to believe the defendant committed the offenses as charged herein. Authorized for presentment and filing on September 16th, 2025. Jeffrey Gray, Utah County Attorney. Yeah, I can't believe there's no timestamps. That is so interesting to me. So I'll take a second and look through some of the comments really quick just to see Let's see. If I'm Tyler Robinson, I'm making vacation plans for after the trial unless I die. Yeah, I'm well, now things are pushed back because there's just so many things for the defense to go through. There's what 600,000 files. So, that alone is that's going to be a feat. And they only have till, I think Kristen said it was May 28th. Kristen, is that what it was? That the evidentiary hearing is? That was supposed to be a stock photo 30-6. How could it be recognized as the grandfather's gun? Yep. Greg, the gun had a composite stock. No way it was from World War One. Yeah, there's a lot of questions with the gun. It's not really, I don't know. It's never really made any sense. I haven't seen admission anywhere yet. Yeah. Because there is no admission, I don't believe. Just like we don't have footage of him walking in and turning himself in because that was deleted. Let's see. What does it say? Okay. Cellbrate extraction takes 1 to 2 hours. Full analysis takes about 72 hours from start to finish. But the prosecution isn't using it for prelim and still won't turn the report over to the defense. So with that, I've also heard that the FBI has not handed over documents that the defense has to have to be able to go through. And how can we have an evidentiary hearing when the FBI doesn't have all the paperwork together? And my question is, why don't they have it together? If this was all found and you have all this mounting evidence and all this proof, why is it taking so long? September 10th was 8 months ago, 9 months ago, 9 months ago. Why would you need all this time to get it together if you have all of this evidence, if you have all this proof? And it is just like so for sure that he is guilty. You guys are so sold that you guys are not willing to ask one question of not one other person could have did this or had something to do with it or him have an accomplice or it be more than one person. Why are you guys taking forever to give the defense the paperwork that they need to move forward? It makes zero sense. Zero. Every time I hear these text messages, I call BS. That's not how young people text. And why lay out your guilt completely in text messages that can be discovered? So it wasn't only in text messages. What about Discord? So delete it here, but let's put it here. And again, I agree. I don't think this sounds like something from a Renaissance fair. Oh, I love thee. It sounds like Romeo and Juliet days at this point. What is happening here? I don't know one person that talks like that, so it's very weird. 18. Oh, okay, May 18th. Let's see. But they have filed for a 6-month extension. Prosecution is pushing back on the extension, though. Yeah, because they want the speedy trial that a victim has. Erica Kirk filed for that. But what about the rights for the defendant that exist? Utah law is interesting, but I did talk about this in my last. It was either my last live or the one video that I did. That like 40 states actually have this, which is very interesting. I had no idea. You don't hear about that, but probably because like nobody uses it, and I don't know. They're worried about a fair trial, but they're worried about also having a speedy trial for the victim that's already gone. We can't bring them back. Whatever. They just want this thing case closed, move on. And the more, and I know that they want an extension and the extension is reasonable and understandable, right? There's so much to go through. And in order to have a rebuttal to this alleged evidence and the prosecution's claims, they need time. This is a lot of video evidence, text messages, to go through. But my thing is, the more they push this back, the more fearful I get of where's Tyler Robinson going to be by the time we get to trial day. And I don't know that I believe he's going to be in attendance, if you know what I'm saying. Tyler Robinson was in custody when messages were rolling through. Yes, I've heard that. I'll say rumor because I didn't see that. I heard about it, but I have not seen it. Let's see. The messages came from a computer in Wisconsin. That part I did not hear. All right. So now we're going to leave that and we're going to go to the affidavit. We're just going to take 2 seconds to look at that really quick. And then we're going to talk about a few other things. And then we're going to go over to the video of Tracy Martin. You guys all told me about this. Tracy Martin did an interview. You already know that Erica Kirk was like, hey, girl, you got to go and do an interview for me and like just make me seem like an angel. Well, girl, you should have did that in the beginning because it's too late for you now. You've showed your behind too much for that. So what we're looking at is the affidavit of probable cause. So we have in the county of Utah, state of Utah, Tyler James Robinson, date of birth is obviously redacted, which is crazy because anyone could figure that out on Google and white pages. That's not hard at all. Unless they wiped it by now, I wouldn't be surprised. There's lots of stuff being deleted off the internet for a while now. So offense date, we have 9/12/2025 aggravated murder. We have 2 9/12/2025 felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury. 3 9/12/2025 obstruction of justice, capital first degree felony conduct. I believe there's probable cause to charge the defendant with these charges because the following information was obtained by your affidavit from police officers, multiple video recordings posted on social media websites, Utah Valley University campus surveillance cameras, and those who witnessed the incident. On September 10, 2025, Charles James Kirk was at Utah Valley campus in Orem, Utah for a political event. Mr. Kirk is a conservative political activist who is scheduled to speak at the event in the courtyard area on the UVU campus. The courtyard area is on the west, is to the west of the Low C Center building, according to video recordings. Charles was wearing a white t-shirt, dark pants, sitting under a white canopy in the courtyard of the campus facing to the east. The event was attended by hundreds of individuals. Let's try like 3,000 individuals. So that's not accurate. Charles was surrounded by people with multiple individuals to his left, right, and rear. What happened to the front? Oh, in the front of the canopy. Sorry. You guys, my seeing today is so bad. Behind the canopy was a walkway used for access to various parts of the university. Charles was holding a microphone and speaking to a crowd. While speaking into the microphone, a loud gunshot was heard at approximately 12:23 hours, and Charles appeared to have been hit in the neck. Blood was seen coming out of the left side of the neck as he fell over to his left. Charles was transported to the Timpanogos Regional Hospital in Orem. Charles was pronounced deceased at the hospital. Would you have like time of death that wouldn't that be important to include the time of death? Investigators reviewed the Utah Valley University surveillance cameras. While reviewing the surveillance cameras, investigators observed an individual on the rooftop of the Low C Center building on the UVU campus at the time of the shooting. Hereafter, the unidentified individual will be referred to as a suspect. Based on surveillance camera footage, suspect appears to be a white male with dark colored hair, wearing a dark colored hat, sunglasses, a long sleeve black shirt with a picture of an American flag and an eagle printed on the shirt, dark colored jeans, and white gray shoes with white colored shoelaces. The shoes appear to be consistent with Chuck Taylor Converse style shoes. Suspect is also carrying a dark colored backpack on his back. Suspect walks with a distinctive gait prior to the shooting. Suspect appears to walk with a stiff right leg and at a relatively slow pace. Suspect's ability to bend his right leg appears to be restricted. Investigators were able to track suspect's movements on the UVU campus starting at approximately 11:50 hours on 9/10/2025. I'm going to pause here for a second. So they're saying that he can only walk he appears to walk at a slow pace. The right leg seems stiff, but yet he jumped off of the roof and did just fine. Interesting. If you have any kind of issues with your legs, why wouldn't you just take the stairs back down? Okay. At approximately 11:50 hours, a UVU surveillance camera first captured suspect walking across a grassy area north of Campus Drive at approximately 800 West. Suspect walked south through the parking lot and approached a pedestrian tunnel that runs underneath Campus Drive. Before entering the tunnel, suspect paused at the top of the stairs and pulled out what appeared to be a cell phone from his right pocket using his right hand at approximately 11:53 hours. Suspect eventually put what appeared to be a cell phone back in his right pants pocket using his right hand. Surveillance captured suspect making his way towards the Losi Center. So hold on. They talk about the shot and all, just like why is there so much detail with the putting the phone in the pocket with the right hand and all this stuff, but there's other details when it comes to the actual shot and all this stuff that they should have put in there, but yet this is all wonky. Suspect making his way towards Losi Center at approximately 12:02 hours. Suspect was recorded walking on the north side of the Losi Center building, walking with some same gait as observed earlier. Suspect entered the Losi Center building through a set of doors on the southeast corner of the Losi building at approximately 12:15 hours. Suspect was observed walking up the center building at approximately 12:15 hours. Suspect was observed walking up the stairs that led to the common area adjacent to the Losi Center building. Suspect walked to a short concrete wall that separates the common area from the rooftop of the Losi Center building at approximately 12:17. Suspect climbed over the short wall and appeared to crouch down on the north side of the wall on the rooftop. At approximately 12:22, suspect stood up and started running across the rooftop of the Losi Center building. The notable limp from previous surveillance was absent. It's amazing how you could just like get rid of a gate issue whenever you feel or whenever you need to. Suspect ran to the west side of the rooftop and appeared to scoot along the rooftop area as he got closer to the edge of the rooftop at approximately 12:22 hours. Suspect laid down in position consistent with a prone shooting position near the edge of the rooftop and appeared to be facing west in the direction of the courtyard area. The rooftop of the Losi Center building overlooks the courtyard area where the event featuring Charlie Kirk was taking place. The Losi Center building is east of the courtyard area. At approximately 12:23, Charlie Kirk was shot. At approximately 12:23, surveillance shows that the suspect stood up suddenly from the edge of the rooftop and sprinted north on the rooftop of the Losi Center building. Again, amazing that somebody with a gait issue who walks super slow and really struggles with his right leg, that he could sprint no problem. It must be just like the gag order. It's when convenient, that stuff just like goes away and then it comes back and then it's like a rule and then it's not. And, must be one of those. Suspect ran to the northeast corner of the Losi Center building and approached the edge of the rooftop. Suspect placed a dark colored item on the rooftop and proceeded to lower himself off the rooftop. I thought they said he just like hopped on off of there. He jumped. Now he like lowered himself. Suspect dropped off the rooftop. Oh, well, I guess dropped is kind of like jumped. Onto the grass below. Suspect ran north near the parking lot to the east of the Losi Center at approximately 12:24 hours. Suspect ran across Campus Drive Road. Suspect appeared to be carrying an item whose identity is not clear from the surveillance. The area to the north of Campus Drive Road where suspect crossed over consists of a grassy area with trees on the edge of the UVU campus. Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in dark colored towel. The rifle was determined to be a Mauser model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on the top of it. Investigators noticed inscriptions that had been engraved on the casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, notices bulge, OWO, what's this? Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, hey, fascist catch. Up arrow symbol, right arrow symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols, a second unfired. We already went through all the things they said. Investigators also discovered a shoe impression on the northeast corner rooftop edge of the Losi Center building. This shoe impression was located in the vicinity where the suspect climbed down from the rooftop. The shoe impression is consistent with the shoe sole characteristics of a Converse Chuck Taylor shoe. On the evening of September 11th, 2025, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at UVU. The information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from the UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving at the UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 on September 10th, in which he is observed on the video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light colored shorts, a black hat, white logo, and a light colored shoes when encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 10. Early morning hours, Robinson was observed in consistent clothing with the surveillance images. Interesting that he didn't change clothes. Okay. Wouldn't you want to get out of those clothes, right? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Maybe shower after you did all this, you know? I would be sweating bullets from adrenaline, running, jumping, you know? Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. Instead of political, wouldn't they say like aggressive or angered? Or I don't really think he necessarily became more political. Sounds like he became very angry, delusional, if anything, mentally ill. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to the dinner prior to September 10, 2025. And in conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. The family member also confirmed Robinson had a gray Dodge Challenger. Investigators identified an individual as the roommate of Robinson. Investigators interviewed the roommate, who stated that his roommate, referring to Robinson, made a joke on Discord. Investigators asked if he would show them the messages on Discord. He opened it and showed several messages to investigators and allowed investigators to take photos of the screen as each message was shown by Robinson's roommate. These photos consisted of various messages, including content and messages between the phone contact named Tyler with an emoji icon and Robinson roommates an emoji icon and Robinson roommate's device. The content of these messages included messages affiliated with the contact Tyler. The content of these messages included messages affiliated with the contact Tyler stating a need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, leaving the rifle in a bush. Messages related to the visually watching the area where a rifle was left, and a message referring to having left the rifle wrapped in a towel. The messages also referred to engraving bullets and a mention of a scope and the rifle being unique. Messages from the contact Tyler also messaged that he had changed outfits. Based on the evidence detailed in this statement, I believe there is probable cause that Tyler Robinson committed the crimes of aggravated murder by shooting Charlie Kirk in a circumstance that put many around him at grave risk of death, felony discharge of a firearm, and the obstruction of justice for moving and hiding the rifle believed to be used in the shooting. By submitting this affidavit, I declare under criminal penalty of the state of Utah that foregoing is true and correct. Brian Davis. All right. So that is that. I just think this whole thing looks and sounds really unprofessional. That's just when I look at this and I read through it, that's what comes across to me. I don't know about you guys. There's a lot of weird stuff here. Let me look back through the comments. I'm trying to keep up here. Let's see. Is anybody else worried that with the government involved in this cover up that we will never know the true story of 9/10? Yeah, I think there's concerns. Also, I don't know if you guys saw this, but they talked about how Kash Patel has not fired like anybody who in the FBI that they were concerned about that was like corrupt or a bad actor or whatever. Like he only fired one person that was of concern. So, that's interesting. All these people that he was like, oh, this person needs to go, this person needs to go, this person needs to go. And then he gets in there and he keeps everybody. He keeps all the bad apples that he complained about before. So that's weird. It's also weird, Sam. Yeah, it is. Let's see. Erica's an operative. For sure, Justin Strife is more involved than anyone is on to right now again. Yeah, I think Justin Strife is uh the he's obviously I think some of the brains of a lot of stuff, if that makes sense. Allegedly, of course. I want to be careful with the verbiage I use just because you never know. What happens when Tyler testifies that is not him in the video? Yeah, that is going to be interesting for so many reasons. Hold on, guys. Let me just check to see. Okay. I just had to make sure that my husband didn't text me. So obviously, reasonable doubt is going to be huge here. And that's all they need is reasonable doubt. And I think there's plenty of it, even aside from the ballistic side of this. You guys let me know in the chat what you think, but I think there's plenty of reasonable doubt. So, yeah, exactly, Kay. Replace the head of the snake, but not replace no one else. Yeah, it's just it does not make a whole lot of sense. And I can't answer for, but I think we all see it, we all understand it. And I don't know if you guys remember, but I went over a Stu Peters interview when he was talking with Mitch. And Mitch talked about how he had given Candace Owens video and pictures of who was at the hotel and so on and so forth, right? That he gave it to Candace. My question is, how long are we going to hold on to this if we have it and not release it? Where did that go? Like, how long are we going to drag this out? Because if we know who did it or we know what actually happened that day, there's an innocent person here on the line that you only have so much time to get the information out that this person did in fact not do this. And if the system is completely rigged, allegedly, of course, defense and all, it doesn't matter how much reasonable doubt there is because it's all rigged. So how long do you sit on these pictures and these videos that allegedly exist and were given to Candace Owens for it's disturbing, that we have a 22-year-old kid who basically majority of America doesn't believe did this. But yet you're going to hold on to this and we're all just going to watch what happens here. Every day that he sits in jail is a day that, you know what I mean? I just don't think the longer he sits there, I don't think it's going to be good. I think majority of chat and people that follow me don't believe he's going to make it to trial because that's what usually happens. And with the lack of transparency, I would hope that we would have transparency with this trial and they're going to allow media in there. This is a state case. It's not a federal case. There's no reason for that, but they have not had transparency thus far. So we have to prepare ourselves for that to not exist when it comes to trial. And we have a long way to make it to trial. If they're asking for a 6-month extension, the prosecution is, supposedly trying to stop that. But just imagine if we have the evidentiary hearing. We still haven't seen him with our own eyes and heard with our own ears that he's admitting that he's guilty. He hires a defense to say he's guilty. That alone is a big mess. Like nobody would do that. If you're admitting guilt, you're admitting guilt, period. And I'm pretty sure if he really was guilty of actually killing Charlie Kirk, I would have thought that he would have taken a plea deal to at least get the death penalty off the table. Because even Brian Koberger, who was found guilty of killing 4 people in a very horrendous way, was too scared to get the death penalty and took a plea deal to take that off the table. You don't think scrawny, innocent Tyler Robinson is going to be begging to at least take a plea deal so he can get the death penalty off the table? Come on now. I'm sure the kid's scared as all get out being stuck in prison. Majority of people who go out there and kill people are afraid to die themselves. It's really messed up. I've always trusted Candace, still do. If the truth ever comes out, it will probably be because of Candace. I'm not saying that I don't trust that Candace is going to do the right thing, but I don't put my faith in any human. I put my faith in God. Humans are humans. Candace is a human. She's not God, none of that stuff. Candace is able to do the things she does because if that's what God's will is, then that's what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, and I understand she is strategic and smart. I am not saying anything bad about her, but I still think if you have something that could put this to bed indefinitely, it's not questionable. Why would we withhold that? For how long? So my question is, at what point do you guys think it's inappropriate to or what time frame is appropriate to hold on to that to? 4 years, 5 years, 6 years? Because let me tell you, if it's about not trusting people in this administration, well, what if the next administration is more corrupt? Do you sit on it for another 4 years and another whatever and another whatever? If you put that out there and you gave that to, Chris and I were talking about this, if you gave that to every podcaster in the world and everybody blew that crap out there, I don't know how you could really refute that. I don't know how they would get away with it. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I'm just saying how much longer do we hold on to this is what I'm saying. Because eventually, after so long of nothing happening, it gets to the point where I start to wonder, you know what I mean? Like we're all going to get tired at some point. You're sitting here, nothing's happening. You're putting information out there. You keep putting information out there. You keep finding shady stuff. You keep finding suspect stuff. But at some point, you have to do something with that information. An allo receipt is not good enough to prove. Yes, it proves that she's a terrible person. It proves that she's obviously not grieving, because I left my house and I had no funeral clothes when my dad died. We got to Chicago. We had to buy everything. So you're not worried about what you have on. When I travel to Chicago and we drive, I wear the same clothes for 24 hours. It's not a big deal to wear the same clothes for 24 hours. So the ALA receipt just shows that clearly, she don't think the way majority of people do, and her priorities were all jacked up right after her husband died. But it's not like a slam dunk and, hey, these people cooperated and came together and came up with this elaborate plan and didn't think everything through and made all these mistakes, whatever, is what I'm saying. Let's read this. Although I support Candace and do not believe she is being a bad actor, I have stopped watching her because I get anxiety watching her. I switched to this channel because it is an anxiety-free zone. I'm glad that it's anxiety-free for people, because I want it to be a good environment. I don't rush over there to watch her every day like I did in the beginning, because for me, there is a lot of stuff that's just, it's not super factual. Again, like Erica Kirk's dad not being her biological dad. Like, sure, it's interesting, but it does nothing for me. Like, I'm more worried about the actual facts we have to get Tyler Robinson off the hook and out of prison before something happens. I'm worried about figuring out who actually did this. Just my opinion. It's not, again, not saying anything bad. And I understand being strategic and slowly letting people squirm and making people uncomfortable. I totally get that. But I'm saying, how long do you do that for? And they mess up and the pressure is crazy and then all these things come out and it makes them panic. I totally understand that. But for me too, there's two sides to the coin. I don't think it's a one direction answer, or one shoe fits all, so to speak, or one size fits all. Sorry. Candace has reached out to the defense. No responses of yet. Well, I heard that they're not even letting Tyler talk to people and all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, that doesn't surprise me. And that's the thing. Like, if she's reaching out to the defense again, if all of it is rigged, let's just say allegedly all of it is rigged, and she can't ever get through the defense, then what? You have to plan for all these different scenarios because there's plenty of things that could go wrong. So, yeah. I will move on to the next thing, but hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Again, I'm not saying anything bad about her. I'm just saying that you have to plan for different scenarios because she may never be able to get in touch with his defense team. And then what? Again, it doesn't change the fact that every day, if he really didn't do this, he's sitting there in prison at risk at the mercy of whoever's driving this bus, if you catch my drift here. Reasonable doubt is already established with receipts. It's up to them to use it. Right. And that's the other thing. Again, it comes back to what if the defense is rigged? Allegedly, someone on the defense is related to the Farnsworth, supposedly. So again, to me, that's not accurate because it's not up for them to use it. Because if they don't, then, or even if they did, if they don't, how do you know the defense is not rigged? So they're not going to use it. If they do use it and it's rigged with the jury, then what happens? There's a lot of avenues here that different directions things can go. There's, like I said, this is not a straight path here. And so to me, it's just something that I think about. Because in my opinion, you should think about that. That should be a question everyone's asking. And if you were sitting in prison and every day you were afraid that something was going to happen to you, how would you feel? If the shoe was on your foot, how would it feel? If you knew somebody had all this information and they're just drip, drip, drip information, and every day in prison, you're just, you know what I mean, praying that nothing happens to you. I mean, I know I wouldn't like that. So I'm just saying, it's just, again, it's stressful knowing Tyler is sitting in jail and anything could happen. Poor kid. Yeah. It makes me sick thinking about it. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. All I know is that there's a lot of things that are concerning with the whole thing. So I'm going to bring up this interview. I guess you could call it interview. You guys were telling me about this. This is Tracy Martin. If you guys don't remember, Stacey Sheridan, Tracy Martin's daughter, I believe, is Erica's assistant. She went on Chicks on the Right, and I forgot this other girl's name. She did here it is, No Soup for Knowles. This podcast where they interviewed her. I have not watched this, so we're going to be doing like a live reaction. And see what this is about because people were saying, oh my gosh, you got to talk about this or you got to look at this. So let's just look at it real quick and see what's in here.
To their wedding, because I know that's another one of the rumors. Like,
did she
go? That's what I thought. And so is it true that there was sort of a deterioration of their relationship? Can you confirm or deny that?
Yes, absolutely. There was. And even because somebody else asked me that about the wedding, I'm like, there was so Erica and Charlie got married in a private wedding. There was like 50 of us there, and it was very private, just very close family. And that's kind of where people see the outwardness and they forget there's actually a real life. Like I said, I keep saying that, but it's just truth. Right. And then there was a larger reception. So and she wasn't at either one. She wasn't invited to either one, by the way. So if she would have been invited, it would have been to the larger one because they included a lot of people in that. But she was not invited to that one either. And she was not invited. She was not invited to the private funeral. And so, I mean, that's very telling to me is like, whenever you have, when you have a crisis like this, you reach out to those people that are closest that, I mean, right. And so that's very telling to me. And there's a reason for that. Right. And so when you look at that,
Erica
and you
would
get,
have known if Charlie
Yes.
really, really wanted Candace to be there, she would have known that. And she would
have done, she would have honored that. She would have honored that.
Not invited to their wedding.
I don't believe for 2 seconds that she would have honored that. That's just my opinion.
Welcome to another episode of the Chicks on the Right podcast.
Oh, hold on. We should have used this one. Well, anyways, she says that Erica would have honored if Charlie had a good relationship with Candace still and allowed her at the wake, memorial, whatever. Candace wasn't going to go anyway because she already knew what they were trying to do with that. And it's very clear Erica does not like Candace. So, yeah, I don't buy that for 5 minutes. And there's plenty of proof on the internet that they were on tour together in 2024. If he didn't like her, he wouldn't have gave her a platform. He wouldn't have had her at any of these conventions or conferences or TPUSA events, which he did in 2024. You don't do that with someone that you don't like. Okay. Aside from that, Candace has literally showed us her phone scrolling through all the text messages of Charlie. She's provided screenshots, and the screenshots that she's provided, everybody, like Andrew Colvett and everyone's like, oh yeah, those are real. They verified that those are all authentic. So, ma'am, we know you've been on the internet. Stop playing stupid. This is crazy. These people are desperate. This is desperate.
We have been so looking.
It's a not so good day the other day.
Yeah. And so I'm hoping she doesn't read a bunch of stuff online or engage with a bunch of stuff online or see
No,
this part was
don't
good.
understand. This is real life. Our understanding today. She's doing okay. You know, I mean, I was just with her on Saturday with the kids, you know, which is crazy thing. I
was with her on Saturday with the kids. Oh, really? Because like I never see her have her kids. Once in a blue moon, she posts on Instagram to be like, oh, I'm with my kids. But she's always doing an interview somewhere, or you know what I mean? She's everywhere. You never see, how can she be at all these places and be at home with her kids? Get out of here.
know that they actually exist. But yeah, I mean, she seriously, no, she's doing okay. She's navigating life as it comes. But if you've been watching anything with Erica, you know, she's rooted in her faith. She has a lot going on, obviously, was thrown into this crisis, and there's no blueprint for this. So she's navigating, you know, and there's days where things are good and there's days where things are not so good, you know, but it's real for her. This is not a character on a screen. This is a real mother. This is a real daughter who's taking care of her mother. This is a real widow. And so I don't think people can connect the dots because they're so removed on a screen that you just don't understand.
We're so removed because we're on a screen. That's very interesting. Very interesting. I don't think it has anything to do with the screen. The behavior doesn't match where we should be as a whole. Even if you took away the grieving widow stuff, what gets me is none of the values that TPUSA is pushing right now match what Charlie's values were. And his wife is the CEO. So if you want to honor your husband, you're going to do a 360 on the views he had and platform Nicki Minaj, someone that he never would have put on a stage. Ben Shapiro can pay for a spot at AmFest. I don't think so, lady. If we took all this other stuff out of it, all that other stuff is very not normal if you love and respect your husband and you want to preserve his legacy. Again, math isn't mathing.
This is real life. This is a real life person. So really good days some days and not so good days other days.
Yeah. And so I'm hoping that she doesn't like read she doesn't read a bunch of stuff online or engage with a bunch of stuff online or see just the awfulness that, okay, good.
No, she sees,
and
of course she sees some of it, of course, you know, people tell her, people send her stuff, but she's not on social media scrolling. Trust me.
Good.
Okay.
And I imagine the kids are way too young to even think about doing any of that, like anything.
Oh, no.
They see anything, know anything. They have no idea. So
no, in their home, it's just beautiful pictures of the family, you know, a lot of just normalcy, right? I think is the easiest word to use.
why do we care what pictures are in her house? A lot of normalcy. Like why are we even talking about that? And what does that have to do with it? I mean, it doesn't even make any sense. You could put pictures all over a wall of your family. It doesn't mean anything. No offense. I mean, but that's the truth. I mean, Erica sent this girl out there like, girl, go out there and talk good about me and tell all these things and this came from Erica. And then you got these two knuckleheads that are like, oh my gosh, we love you. Poor Erica. My geez. These two are desperate, clearly.
Use right now. It's just, they're just, it's funny. People don't understand. Like Saturday morning, I went to the farmer's market, grabbed her a bunch of stuff, go deliver it to her. We unload it. We talk about the day, playing with the kids, reading them books. It's just normal life. And it does exist despite the chaos.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because I think, I lost my son back in October. And so you're right that there is no exact blueprint for navigating loss, especially one for Erica, at least, that was so horribly public. And so, and one that results in her having to all of a sudden take over an entire company.
Right.
So it's so different and so unfair for people to judge her in any way for how she grieves or how she copes, which is frankly astonishingly brave and courageous. And the way that she is able to navigate all this and hold it together is something that we think should be admired and not criticized as like she's grieving wrong
and picked apart.
Like we rage over this every single day. And so that's why, when we were talking about it this morning, about talking to you, we were both like, we've got to ask if she's okay, because like the worst thing is thinking that she's.
Lady, we have to ask if she's okay. You see her on some kind of platform in glitter pantsuits with fireworks every other day, basically. The woman's fine, okay? Not one real tear is coming out of those tear ducts, okay? We've all seen it. And if you know you're going to be crying, you'd put on waterproof mascara and then just not worry about the waterworks, if that was the case. But this is wild right here. We need to know she's okay. We've seen plenty of proof of life. The girl is always on a stage somewhere, whether it's on the Today Show or whatever. She's on somebody's podcast. She's on the Charlie Kirk show. She's just fine. She's smiling. She's laughing. She's living her best life. The girl is fine.
Seeing all of this cruelty and evil, and that makes me rage to even just think about it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm sorry for your loss about your son. That's unthinkable. She, like I said, she sees it, but she doesn't sit with it. I think that's the part that people don't understand, that this doesn't consume her life, and people don't get free rent in your head,
People have and live rent free in her head. Hence why, she's making her commentary. And you can't tell me, how many of you guys chat think that Erica Kirk does not live on social media and she's checking social media all the time? She may pay people to do it for her, but believe me, she's on there. She knows what's said about her and all this stuff, because when she gets to doing her speeches, she makes her jokes about Egypt and planes and all these things. She knows what's being said. Lady, we know she's on the internet. You can't make this up, because she knows every little thing that is said or mocked about her. She knows. She brings it up in interviews. She brings it up in speeches. The girl's listening. She's well aware. I don't think she does not have her phone and she's just like living phone free. This is 2026. Again, we're not dumb. We're not blind. We're not deaf.
No, I mean, it's like somebody said, after you talked to Candace, what did you do? I go, made my family dinner. I'm like,
Yeah, exactly.
Because it doesn't consume me, I mean, it's there. You deal with it. You get through it. You address it if you feel like you need to. Life goes on. And it's just, but I think that's where people have a hard time with the comprehension of how do you deal with this, and just watching all this stuff online, I mean, it really is a cesspool, to be honest with you. I mean, it really is. And people are monetizing this. And then you've got the way that our brain just, you get addicted to this stuff. And most of the demographic are women. I'm like, go back to soap operas, guys, because this is an actual life, and
go back to soap operas. You guys made this a damn soap opera. You guys did this. This is the crap I'm talking about. It's like Andrew Colvett when he's like, this is, you guys are making this very dangerous. This is getting so dangerous. You're right, Andrew. This is getting dangerous because you guys keep lying because nobody is being honest. Stop telling the internet that it's getting dangerous because everybody's talking about this and asking the questions that everybody has. Stop with the bullshit. And you guys know I don't like to swear, but I am so fed up with this crap. This is a soap opera because all these knuckleheads made it a soap opera from day one. That's on them, not on anybody else. Again, she also put her husband in a casket on the internet. She wanted the views. She wanted to be talked about. She wanted the clicks. She wanted to be seen, or you wouldn't have done that. I wasn't on the internet putting pictures of my dad in his casket online. Okay? I have them. A lot of people do that. They do keep pictures of that. I don't personally want them, but my husband took them in case one day I ever wanted to look at them because it's my father. And I have them in case I ever want to. But at the same time, you guys bred this entire environment that's going on right now. You guys did it to yourselves. The problem is you guys thought people were going to be stupid. You thought people were not paying attention. You thought people didn't care about Charlie Kirk the way they do. And you guys messed up big time. Big time. You didn't realize people were capable of using Google a whole lot more than you realized. I guess you thought everyone was like completely brain dead. I mean, this is not on anybody but them. Allegedly, of course, because we don't know for sure, right? But at the same time, this is no one's fault but theirs. If you wanted to have a private life like you did when Charlie was alive, nobody knew who Erica Kirk was before that until she forces herself out in the spotlight, then nobody would have bothered with you. But you insisted. And you insisted on a media tour and you insisted on, speaking. And, I mean, plenty of people don't speak at people's wakes. I did not speak at my dad's wake. My dad died. Whether strong or not, as his daughter, there's other people that can eulogize him or give a speech. I could tell people thank you and thank you cards or talk to them after I've had time to settle a little bit. You know what I'm saying? She did all that. I do not feel bad for her because she did it to herself.
I don't think people can comprehend that.
Yeah, it's an actual life and it's hurtful,
Very.
which brings me to listen, as a friend, like if this were happening to Miriam, I would be, well, first of all, I'm not as nice as you are. And I'm probably not as calm as you are, Tracy, and I know that about myself. I have limitations. And so
you look real scary, lady. I'm sure you really lay down the law. Come on now.
So I would I would be rage filled. I would be lashing out against people. I would just be so angry. I'd be litigious. I would be wanting to take people down.
Girl, we want Erica Kirk to be litigious. Do it. Do it. Everyone's asking. Everyone's begging. Do it. I mean, no one's afraid of that because they know what it entails after. But of course, you have like Graham Allen out there like, oh, you can't, in Discovery, you can't ask for text message and stuff. Yeah, you can, because if you're going to say someone is defaming you and slandering you, you have to prove that what they're saying is not true. And if it takes this long to concoct phone records or whatever we got, I can only imagine what they're worried about. Allegedly.
And so I guess there are some of us out there that are like, are there plans to, sue people? Are there plans to do that? I guess that's where a lot of us are out here and we're like, I know that she is such a faith-filled person and, and she's so much better than me, but I'm
going to throw up. She's so much better than everybody. She's so much better than me. Oh my God, I want to be her. I want to wear her skin. I love her. Like, what a creep. What a creep. This lady on the left is like I said yesterday, people have a punchable face. She's got a whole punchable face. Lots of square footage to punch.
But there's a part of me that's like, I want revenge, and
Yeah.
so, and I
Or
think we're not,
just justice. Like, just
Yeah.
I guess that's probably a
people
better
should
way to
not
put it.
be
Yeah.
allowed to defame
Yeah.
her in this way.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's yes.
Well,
Mom
but
said
you
that's
got to
better than I
remember
do.
too, we live in a world where there's no personal accountability. So,
Right.
so people have gotten to a place and gotten very comfortable, by the way, of getting on a platform and bold-faced lying about someone with zero ramifications. And it's interesting because I did see the response whenever I can't remember which one of you guys said it, where you're just like, why didn't she sue her? And I mean, honestly, that's why I like the word justice instead of revenge. Revenge is is God's,
Yeah,
it's not ours, right?
You're right.
But however, this is real life, right? And so the world is going to do what the world is going to do. It just is.
Justice is God's, but yet we literally use that term in the court of law. Interesting, lady. Whatever.
Know who runs the world. We know where this is going. And if you can stay in that understanding, that logic, that it's not our timing, we have to be patient. These things are going to play out. But it's interesting because Candace lives in Nashville, but all of her businesses are in Delaware. So the thing about that is that they have a really good no slap law. She can sit on her podcast and say, allegedly, I think, I believe, maybe.
You guys, this is sending me. Oh my gosh, no, she didn't. Because she's based out of Delaware is not why it protects her. No freaking, no way. No, she didn't just say that. You guys, I'm hallucinating. I'm not really, I didn't hear that. I didn't do it. No. We're actually going to use that excuse for why she is not suing people, even though the reason that she's really not suing people is because they're, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I don't know if we're going to make it through this. Oh no. Oh no. This is wild, you guys. I do not get worked up very often. This, allegedly is right. This is wild. It has nothing to do with Delaware. But if you want to talk about Delaware, let's talk about all the businesses and the LLCs. Just, Lord, let's just play this because I'm going to have high blood pressure by the end of this. I already know.
I'm not sure. And, there's like an out for her. Exactly. And so that's why I brought up the personal accountability, because people who actually are moral, have a moral compass, they get to a place of like, you know what, maybe I don't understand it. Maybe there's some things that are off for me, but I don't know. Mm-hmm. And I respect someone who can say, I don't know. There's plenty of things. I mean,
this lady is telling us about moral compass. You guys, that just happened. She just used the word moral compass talking about Erica Kirk. No way. Oh my gosh, no way. Nuh-uh. Oh, no. No way. That's wild. That's wild.
Been down the rabbit holes and the conspiracies and all the things, and myself included. And the funny thing is you only know that you're in it once you're out of it, because then you're like, what was I thinking? It's like, I can see how people can connect these dots, but they really don't go anywhere. And that's why I think it's important to have these kinds of conversations and dialogues, is because when you sit with someone, you have a real conversation and a point of reference. Like when Candace said to me, she's like, well, I think you're wrong. You don't know your friend. You think, all those things. And it was actually interesting to be on the phone with her. But I just said to her, I said, well, I prefer 15 years of lived experience with someone over your created content. I really do. Right. But there's always those people who are like, well, yeah, but there's people who are married to their husbands and they don't know. I said, I have a hard time with that, because to me, there's always red flags. So to me, you ignore things. And when you have a lived experience with someone, and our lives are so integrated at every level over the years, and all the important, things that happen in life, you see how people react. And I mean, I think that's, go ahead.
Well, I was just, kind of tying into that. I mean, it's so ridiculous to me on its face that Candace is trying to say that she somehow knows Erica better than you do, which is crazy. But that makes sense because she's so convincing to her audience that she's the only one that really is doing right by Charlie, where there are a lot of rumors swirling about her relationship with Charlie and how it had deteriorated over the past couple of years. What do you know about that? Is it true once and for all that she was?
You guys are talking about Tracy's eyebrows. Yeah. Whoever did her facelift, it's so tight. Everything is like, it's like a skeleton is all I see basically. And she's had like several nose jobs. I was going to say something else, but I'm going to keep it to myself.
Was not invited to their wedding because I know that's another one of the rumors. Like,
she was
did
not.
She go? That's what I thought. And so, is it true that there was sort of a deterioration of their relationship? Can you confirm or deny that?
Yes, absolutely, there was, and even because somebody else asked me that about the wedding, I'm like, there was so Erica and Charlie got married in a private wedding. There was like 50 of us there, and it was very private, just very.
So private, no one can find the actual wedding certificate or proof that they were ever actually married, but small detail, minute. Continue.
Close family. And that's kind of where people see the outwardness, and they forget there's actually a real life. Like I said, I keep saying that, but it's just truth, right? And then there was a larger reception. And she wasn't at either one. She wasn't invited to either one, by the way. So if she would have been invited, it would have been to the larger one because they included a lot of people in that. But she was not invited to that one either. And she was not invited. She was not invited to the private funeral. And so, I mean, that's very telling to me is like, when.
Probably because she would call everyone on their bullshit. Just saying. Like, I'm really trying to like not swear, but this is almost like impossible. And I usually don't. But I don't know how people watch this whole thing. There's just so much. I mean, I can't. This is wild to watch and listen to, honestly. Truly.
When you have a crisis like this, you reach out to those people that are closest, that I mean, right? And
but not to the person who is going to clock you. Is really what it comes down to. I'm just saying. That's why Candace was not included in this, because Candace was going to see right through all of this, like the rest of people who have eyeballs, also ears, so on and so forth. And the size of like the small wedding versus the big wedding. I don't know. I just have so much commentary that I just don't even want to put out there because it would be so not nice.
So that's very telling to me. And there's a reason for that. Right. And so when you look at that,
Erica would have known if Charlie really, really wanted Candace to be there, she would have known that. And she would have
honored that. She would have honored that. Absolutely.
Right. Do you think that like when I use the word revenge,
sorry, I'm pausing so much, but she would have honored that, but she can't even honor her husband's legacy properly. So no, she wouldn't have honored that because she can't even honor the fact that her husband was changing his views on you know what country. She platformed Ben Shapiro at AmFest. She platformed Nicki Minaj. She's like acting like she's besties with Hunter Kozak when she's being questioned by him. You know my heart. You know my heart. How does he know your heart if he's never met you, lady? No, people don't know your heart. What are you talking about? No.
Which was probably the absolute wrong word to use. But do you think that she is trying to get some sort of revenge because she was cut out of his life a little bit?
I do. I really do.
Like there's a spiteful, like obviously she's spiteful and really terrible and evil and demonic. But I mean, like, do you think that there's this side of her where she's like, oh, you're not going to do this or you're going to cut me out of your life? Well, look what I'm going to do to you.
I do to some degree. Like I said, I don't know Candace personally, but I did, right. I did have a conversation with her. However, being on the phone with her, the tone and just because of what I do, human behavior, it's like you can read through, and it's very textbook, the way that no self-regulation, was dropping F-bombs. I mean, all those types of things. And the conversation didn't warrant that. You know what I mean? There was no animosity. There was no nothing. I mean, I basically here I am, ask your questions. I'm transparent because I have nothing to hide. And if you really want to know truth, let's do this. Let's talk about this. But the difference is that she didn't really want truth, because when she got it served on a silver platter, she disregarded it. And that's why to address the revenge part, I definitely think that there's something to that, because I think that you don't do what you're doing to try to destroy something as much as she is. And then I'm
going to pause it because I'm reading comments. If these chicks are on the right, then I'm confused where I'm at. These two are brain dead. I mean, 7 brain cells total, probably. You already know that the script was written out. Ask about the wedding. Make sure you put out there that Candace wasn't at the wedding. She wasn't at either wedding. She wasn't invited to, Charlie being in a casket. She wasn't invited to the memorial. You know what I mean? Make sure you mention these points, that that was done and said. I mean, come on now.
Joy from it is what it appears to me when she sees other people kind of running with the lead that she took.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. So, and there's, the conspiracies upon conspiracies upon conspiracies that she is creating that are even beyond just Charlie. Like when she did the whole Bride of Charlie series, which was so disgusting, and actually tries to paint Erica as some sort of a child trafficker because she did charitable work with kids in Romania. It's gone so crazy.
Are you sure it was charitable? I don't think that's the word we would use to describe what went on in Romania. If it was charitable, I don't think the country would completely ban her from visiting there. I doubt it was very charitable. Interesting adjective.
And I think you're so right that once you become addicted to the storyline, it becomes irresistible. It's like true crime in real life, except that it's all freaking made up.
It's crack. It's basically crack.
So when Amy Jo was asking about, a potential lawsuit, and I hear what you're saying, that life is going to happen the way it's going to happen, but there was a cease and desist at least put out by TPUSA, which is obviously not being honored whatsoever. So was that, to me, I've always theorized that yes, there's going to be a time and place that TPUSA decides to do, to make this right and to reclaim their name, but they're waiting for after the Tyler Robinson trial.
Yes.
Am I speaking out of turn? Am I being too optimistic about justice happening on their side, or is that a possibility?
No, I think it's a possibility. And I think too, people are definitely thinking about the ins and outs, the pros, the cons, where's it going to go, the bandwidth that everyone has. And I know she's got a Macron lawsuit coming, Candace does, which, rightfully so, they should do that. And I think there's definitely different, what's the best way to say it? There's different layers to this, right? So it's you add Joe Kent into the mix, So could Candace actually say, "Oh well, it wasn't me"?
I think we might have to stop it because this is 45 minutes long. I'm 14 minutes in, and I think we're going to be losing brain cells ourselves just from listening to these morons. Now they're bringing Joe Kent into it because Joe Kent asked if there was any foreign involvement, and that would bust their narrative. So Kash Patel had a meltdown. So now they're going to talk trash about Joe Kent. You guys let me know in the chat. Do you guys want to continue with this for a few more minutes, or do you want me to move on to something else? Let me know in the chat, please, so we can either watch a couple more minutes of it, or are we just not interested? But I don't know. Okay, move on. Okay, got it. Yeah, you guys get the gist. I mean, it's very clear to me, at least in my opinion, that this was obviously intentional. She sent her friend out there to someone put please no. Oh, people are saying yes, continue. Whatever gets the most votes. If you guys want to continue, we'll continue a couple more minutes. But I didn't hear any of this. I'm live reacting to this with you guys. So I think if I would have watched it prior, I probably would have been a little bit more composed. But I can't believe the blatant lies. I can't. It's really, it gets to a point where it's really appalling. You know, the audacity people have to actually go out there and like and say the stuff as if it's not public knowledge or there's no way to figure out the truth. It's just crazy to me. Yeah, they are yucky. I don't know what she's going to say. Hold on.
I just took information from Joe Kent, you know, I mean, but then also you get someone like Joe Kent. So you can basically, in a way that it is legal, right? I mean, otherwise it's, and it's kind of like the whole thing, like with the Drewski thing, right? You're like going, okay, so that's a comedian, do what you want to do, but we all know what you were doing, right?
Yeah.
Is that illegal? Is that a legal thing? No, it's just a morally corrupt thing, you know?
Exactly.
So
you know, the interesting thing about that little part that we heard is there are, and we're going to move on. Comedians talk about really messed up, like joke about messed up stuff all the time. I don't know how many of you guys watch Shane Gillis. He is very controversial. You know, he makes jokes about ISIS and all kinds of stuff. I mean, when you hear it, you're like, oh my gosh, like that. I can't believe he said that. But I mean, he's funny. I'm married to a military man, so I do listen to, you know, stuff that probably most girls don't, right? And the stuff is funny. Shane Gillis is funny, but he does have some jokes that are, I mean, on the rougher side where you're just like, dang, like, you know, it's probably not subjects that like some people would be offended if they made a joke by. I don't think what Drewski did was a big deal. He said conservative women, and he did dress like her. I mean, in the blonde wig and the whole nine. But comedians do that stuff all the time. It's not the first or the last time someone's going to make that joke. Again, she's put herself out there. She's gone on stages and made, you know, you love Shane Gillis. Shane Gillis is so funny. We saw him, getting off topic. We saw him live. And I guess like every show he does, whatever city he goes to, well, I should say every stop is different. So you don't get the same show, which I thought was kind of interesting. And we like him, and we've watched tons of, you know, his stand-ups, but I personally felt like the show we got wasn't like as funny as I would have expected. But he's a good watch. We did that for my husband's birthday. We had a lot of fun. The show was good, but it just wasn't. I guess my husband was expecting a little bit different. It was one of his more, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. It tamed, I guess, you know, whereas my husband kind of likes some of the stuff that's more, I don't know. He, you know, I don't want to say inappropriate, but like, I just think I think guys do find the more inappropriate stuff funny. It was kind of more, I don't know, just not his usual, if that makes sense. But it was good. Yeah, wild takes, stuff that's like very controversial, stuff that maybe somebody wouldn't find, you know, funny. Like there's people out there who are like really sensitive, like, oh, that's not funny to like make jokes about ISIS. And that, you know, that's a serious situation, but he's wild, but he's funny. And he does really good impressions. Yeah, unhinged. That's a good word. Unhinged in a funny way though. To me, let's read this. To me, Erica's response to Drewski shows consciousness of guilt. An innocent person wouldn't even care. God is good. He knows what's in her heart, and she would pray for him. Guilty conscience. Yeah, and again, I think when you're in the public eye and you're out there putting yourself out there like that, what did you expect? It's kind of like the more my YouTube channel grows, I get a little bit more hate. You know, whereas before it was like basically 97% positive. but the more you're in the public eye, the more people that see you, you're going to have people that don't like you. You're going to have people that make fun of you. You're going to have people that pick at things. You know what I mean? You're never, not 100% of people aren't going to like you. And so that's just what it is. And the more you put yourself out there in the public eye, people are going to have an opinion. You know, it's just how it is. And so, I mean, especially at the rate and how she's done it, I don't know what she expected. Well, I guess I do. She expected that because she's like the grieving widow, that she was untouchable, and that's just not true. That goes for everybody. I mean, everybody's had an opinion about the Blake Lively, Taylor Swift, Justin Baldoni thing. She got smeared online, you know, over her behavior and how she acted. I mean, it's not like Erica Kirk is the first person, you know what I mean, to do something crazy out in the public eye and then people, you know, attack her for it or criticize her. So that is interesting, you know, that she just, like I said, she thinks she's untouchable. She just clearly, you know, thinks very highly of herself to where it's like, the rest of the peasants are fair game, but God forbid you look at her sideways. It's just disturbing. I want to bring this up. I saw this on X. This was pretty interesting. So this was put up by Sword Truth, throwback real clip. Tyler Boyer in fat face, mustache, and afro. Charlie Kirk, where do you find these conspiracy psyops? Tyler Boyer, your wife, Erica Kirk. This was interesting. So I just want to show you guys this clip. Make sure the volume's up, and let's watch this together.
Has Sam Elliott in it.
Well, so Charlie, the point is, these are huge psyop, massive, millions and millions of conservatives are watching it.
Really?
And they're getting injected with this stuff that it's basically saying to conservatives, like, hey, you like this show? Rah, 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 Americana, Americana.
And then
all of a
how
sudden,
many streaming passwords do you guys have? I mean, I don't even know where I'd find these.
I don't know any. I have zero of them.
Where do you find them?
Your wife. Zero of them.
Where do you find them?
Your wife.
we can't talk about that right now. No.
1883 has Sam
All right.
Elliott in it.
Well, so Charlie, the point is, these are huge psyop.
What'd you guys think of that? How many of you guys seen that circulating the internet? Where'd you find that? Your wife. Isn't that interesting? That aged well, huh? So I wanted to show you guys that one. Then I wanted to show you guys this. I thought this was interesting. A lot of people are circulating this. Theo Von was interviewing Jake Paul and asked Jake Paul for his take on what he thought of Erica Kirk. Did she have something to do with it? Did she not? And I'm not like a huge fan of Jake Paul, but his behavior was interesting. That's the way I'll put it. It was a little weird. Like, I think when you don't respond when people ask you stuff like this, and your body language is a certain way, it basically tells what you thought anyway. Project Constitution shared it and clipped it, but it was from Theo Von, so his show. So let's watch that.
It's Comedy Goldfish, dude. We're fucked. We're fucked, dude. This is horrible. All we've done is lobby for fucking blackface.
This whole pod
and nothing else, dude. But we're gonna keep it moving, man. Do you think okay, let's start over. Okay, do you think Erica Kirk had anything to do with the husband's death? Let's switch it up. And that's mouthwash, you know, but yeah, keep having some.
I love Listerine, bro.
It's a fucking good stuff. That's a new Listerine green apple.
Bro,
you're funny, dude.
I don't know if you can ask that.
You're pretty
question.
funny. Okay.
I don't know. I'll talk about a lot of things, but I don't think I'll talk about Charlie Kirk and his assassination.
Okay.
And the sensitive details around it.
Oh, dude, I don't even want to fucking talk about it. It's just on our list of stuff. So I'll keep it moving.
Some AI, you chat GPT what to ask Jake Paul. And it told you this.
It was like
what will go most viral.
It said things Jake Paul could handle. And yeah, one of them was frizz golf. One of them was, the Tiger Woods DUI. That was kind of crazy.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. I thought that was like an interesting little watch. Yeah, no response is a response. 1000%, I believe that. And that's the thing, is that I think Jake Paul thought by saying like, oh, I don't want to talk about it, but like he's adjusting in the chair. You know, you could just tell he feels out. It's like, come on, dude. Like everyone already knows just by that. There's a few other things I wanted to bring up. This is another post that was by Diligent. Now, when we were going over the charging documents, Cash Patel put in there, remember, it was 33 hours till the arrest. And people dug through to figure out exactly what the timing was. And this is what I was kind of telling you guys about, where they found out it was not 33 hours on the dot like it's insinuated. So I'm just going to pull that up. This is by Diligent Denizen. Put this up on his X just for you guys to see it. For those of you that didn't, I know a lot of people don't have X. Tyler Robinson was arrested arrested in 30 hours and 2 minutes after Charlie Kirk assassination, not 33 hours. That means that Valhalla Cash App Patel is complicit in a PSYOP. So let's listen to our favorite buddy old pal here.
To bring this sort of justice at this sort of speed. In 33 hours, we have made historic progress for Charlie.
So it's just showing you that basically that, let me try to make this bigger, 6:25 p.m., 3:36:53, talking about how basically the timing is off, and why clearly Cash Patel wanted to make it 33, even though it wasn't. Candace Owens posted on this and put, correct, this was always Freemason signaling and was no reflection of the actual timeline. So I just figured I would show you guys that, because that was in the charging documents and a lot of people haven't seen this. And so that was where that was coming from and how that got discussed. I also think it's funny that he says, if we listen in the beginning, the verbiage he uses is kind of hilarious to me.
To bring this sort of justice at this sort of speed.
To bring this sort of justice with this sort of speed. You didn't bring justice with any speed, dude. The kid turned himself in. You didn't do anything. You had no idea who this was until allegedly this kid walked in and said, I did it. So stop saying, oh, we brought this with such speed. You did nothing. You did nothing. It's the verbiage matters. Cash Patel annoys me so much, as I'm sure he does you guys. He annoys a lot of people. Now, let's see. There's a couple other things I wanted to share with you guys really quick. And then we'll probably call it, because it's been a longer live than I usually do. But I did want to just go through a few things. I want to show you guys this really quick. This is JD Vance. I think this is a good clip to share really quick, and then we'll probably call it. Next week, obviously Wednesday, we're going to do a live. We'll do that at 12:30 p.m. I'm just throwing that out there now. And we'll be going over more Kirk stuff. So this week, just to take a break from this for a minute, I'm going to have videos that are going to come out about obviously the body cam from Tiger Woods' arrest a week ago, to go over that, which is going to lead into a Michael Hastings video. I am going to go over the Nancy Guthrie update with everything going on with Sheriff Nanos, because there's a lot going on there. And let's see, I had a list here. I'll probably do a separate video about with just clips of the friend interview that Tracy Martin did. I'll be digging into her some more and putting some of that information together as well. And that stuff will be coming. So there'll be another update on the Coral Springs murder. This weekend, I plan to post more members only videos. I have a bunch that are sitting there that I need to upload. So I'll be uploading several members only videos. I'm going to try to get to a point where there's going to be a day or two that I'm not going to be posting public videos, but I'm going to use those days to be consistent with posting members only content, just because it all counts in the algorithm. So I have to space things out. And so I'll come up with a day where I'm going to be uploading the members only. Just so you guys are aware, for those of you that are the second tier and above members. So let's watch this video with JD Vance. Again, Sword Truth. JD Vance admits he is on Turning Point's team and part of the cover up and false government narrative about Tyler Robinson and the Charlie Kirk murder. Allegedly, let's cover our butts because I'm reading what someone else wrote. So let's watch this.
I have to start off with a note of gratitude. Erica, I cannot thank you enough for your strength, your grace, and your kind words of support for this administration and for me personally. You lead an incredible movement at Turning Point, and I will fight alongside you and President Trump and every patriot in this room to defend the country that we so dearly love. We have far more important work to do than canceling each other. We have got to build, and President Donald Trump is a builder. We're building a better country right now, and you have a rightful place in the success of your nation and the success of this movement. And we build by adding, by growing, not by tearing down. Charlie Kirk was a great builder too. He understood that any family can have its disagreements, its tough conversations. We can learn and improve and treat one another better. We can love each other despite the disagreement. But winning demands teamwork. And I am honored to be on Turning Point's team. I'm honored to be on your team, and I will stay that way. And the answer is a man named Tyler Robinson who killed my friend. Think about it. He is everything that the far left wants from our young men. He rejected the conservatism and the spirituality, the values of a small town family. He moved into a small apartment. He became addicted to porn. He became addicted to hate. And he ended up sleeping with somebody who doesn't know whether they're a man or a woman. That is the nightmare scenario, but that is the scenario that the left has actively advertised they want for American families, and the young men in the audience in particular. That is exactly why we have to fight them. The fruits of true Christianity are good husbands, patient fathers, builders of great things, and slayers of dragons. And yes, men who are willing to die for a principle if that's what God asks them to do. Because so many of us recognize that it is better to die a patriot than live a coward. Days after Charlie's death, I struggled a great deal. I'm sure many of you did too. I remember watching every video of the assassination, looking for clues, trying to understand what happened. I try to hide my friend and that terrible bullet hitting him, but I would try to look around. I stayed up all night for many nights in a row, researching every conspiracy theory, going down every rabbit hole. When my lovely wife, Usha, told me to come to bed, I told her I owed it to Charlie to try to uncover every stone. And so that's what I tried to do. I remember I was consumed by this fear that Charlie's...
I'm going to pause it for a second. So he stayed up all night. He covered allegedly every conspiracy theory out there. And in his mind, nothing fit. Nothing looked suspicious. Nothing looked not right to him. There's no way. There's no way you looked at every conspiracy theory and said, yeah, all this adds up. All these puzzle pieces fit. Nothing is weird at all. Like, I don't believe, there's just no way. I'm sorry.
Death wouldn't just deprive a family of their husband or of a good father, but that it would deny our movement of a great unifier of people and a great doer of great deeds. It's the only time I can remember my wife ever telling me that she was really worried about me. She told me it many times. But what saved me was not lying to myself, but accepting the reality of the fight that we're in. Charlie's death was an immense loss, an irreplaceable loss. We got kicked in the teeth, my friends, and there's no sugarcoating it or pretending that it didn't happen. We need to accept that. And what saved me was realizing that the story of the Christian faith, like the story of these United States of America, is one of immense loss followed by even bigger victory.
Yeah. So that was like the last clip I was gonna go over with for the live. I'm sorry, guys. I know it's almost 2.5 hours that we're at. So I kind of thought I would move a little bit faster, but it's hard when you know, 10 pages of document. Well, we had 12 pages of documents and stuff. So that was just interesting to me. I don't know how JD Vance thinks that everything just adds up, and he stayed up all night and looked through things, and that everything just is totally fine. It's okay. They're worried about a fair trial, but now you have the vice president standing on a stage saying that Tyler Robinson, before we've even gone through due process, and said he's guilty. The vice president. So, I mean, this whole thing has started off on a terrible, unfair foot from the get-go. So I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's wild. It's wild to watch. I will not vote for JD Vance. And I think that with everything that's gone on, I think that is dead in the water, been dead in the water. Especially with no true accountability. And even if Tyler Robinson did it, the fact that we aren't willing to ask any questions and question any other possibility and look at any other possibility, that is huge for me. I think it is for a lot of people. I don't even think it's just me. So when you're not willing to explore every possibility and do process of elimination like we do in every other investigation, you know, that's weird. There's no excuse. That's not how investigations work. Let's see. I'm going to try to go back through some of the comments. Let's see. He hasn't admitted or confessed. No, and I think that's interesting that we have not entered a plea yet. That's unusual. That would have happened by now. Let's see. Sorry, bear with me. But I would love to know, let's see. I would love to know how the feds got their hands on the rifle. If Tyler didn't bring it, wouldn't you? Yeah, I would like to know. But the thing about it is that my theory is that he did bring it. And I think they kind of told him, oh, you know, bring this and, you know, get up there and, I don't know, maybe fire a shot in this direction or whatever, you know. And the reason he probably was panicking is because after everything happened, he's on top of this building with the gun on camera. He knows that. And so it already looks bad enough. And so he probably felt like, there's no way out of this. Like, there's no way I'm getting out of this. I didn't do it, but it looks like I did it. I do think that he had some involvement of some sort, is in like getting the weapon there or whatever. I don't know how specifically, I don't know if we ever will. That would require, just as people said in the comments, an actual investigation, and that's not being done. So we will never know. I don't think. Loving the members videos. I'm so glad that you guys are enjoying those, especially if you are the third tier on the blue level. That's where you get like the longer true crime videos. There's going to be some added this weekend. So that'll be exciting. I'm excited to grow that area and talk about all kinds of different stuff. Let's see. Thank you, Miss Patriotic Housewife. I'll find you on X. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Sorry, guys. I'm so slow reading through these comments. Looking for clues. Your vice president. I get someone. Yeah, it's weird. It's all weird. You had higher hopes for JD. I think a lot of people did. I really do. I really thought that people would vote for him after Trump. But with what's going on with this and lack of accountability and all this stuff, it's not going to happen. JD Vance hitching his wagon to Erica Kirk and co-signing all of this is just that was a terrible idea. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. I can't think that far ahead because I'm like taking it day by day and trying to get through day by day. Let's see. I think everything adds up because that's what script tells me. Yep. I wouldn't doubt it. It's good to see you, Nicole. Happy birthday. In case I don't catch you before, then thank you so much, Kay. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I've seen all kinds of happy birthdays in the chat. Thank you. I don't know what we're going to do tomorrow. I think, like I said, I'm just going to talk to family over the phone, and I'm sure we'll go to dinner. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll do something during the day. I just think it depends on weather too, because like I said, we've gotten tons of storms and rain. So if the weather's good, then yeah, we'll probably do something during the day too. Yeah, they've literally looked nowhere else. That's true. Yeah, he talks about like it's an average Joe sitting at home. Yeah, to me, they don't talk like when they talk about it, there's really a very big lack of emotion, which if it was my best friend or if it was a family member, I mean, till this day, I can hardly talk about my dad without getting teary eyes or, you know what I mean? There's some kind of emotion. It's not just like talking about it, like, so it is weird. And it's weird because it something doesn't add up. Let's see. I think that could be why he's not here today. I think they knew that if he ran against JD, they know that JD would have lost. Now, Charlie said he was never going to run for president unless he absolutely had to. It was not like what he wanted. But I think they know that if he did run, he was in with the youth. He was making a huge impact on young voters. And he had a way with people in general. Charlie was charismatic. He was relatable. He was friendly and warm and welcoming and all those things. And so they knew that. He was out there talking to the people. He genuinely wanted to make a difference. He wanted to hear what people had to hear, think and say and, engage in conversations, whether he disagreed with you or he didn't. He was kind to everybody. It just seemed like he was an honest person. But who knows? I mean, I didn't know him personally. This is just the vibe you get when you see somebody. Yes, also contaminated crime scene when Farnsworth took SD card from camera behind CK. Yeah, that was weird too. And then the camera's expensive. They were worried about the hats being taken, but they didn't take the cameras. It's all weird. So much weird. We would be here all day and night if we, there's just so much weird stuff we could talk about with that. Again, thank you guys for the happy birthdays. I lost my dad 40 years ago, still break down from time to time. Yeah, Greg, I don't think it ever gets, they say it gets easier. I don't know if it's easier. I just think you're forced to live with it. You can't undo it. You can't change it. But I think it still hurts the same as it did, and I'm not that far in. I can't even imagine thinking about that, like being like my dad's been gone 40 years. I mean, I know it's going to come, but I'm not even 3 years in yet. So for me, I still am in that phase of like a lot of days it doesn't even seem real. I kind of go like in and out, or it's kind of crazy. I was telling people like when you have a dream and it feel like you wake up and you think like, oh, this person, I had a dream that they passed away. They didn't pass away. And then you realize like, oh, that really happened. Like I'm still having those. You know, it's really it ebbs and flows, grief. It's weird. It's been 29 years since my dad passed and I still can't hold it together like Erica. Yeah, I agree. Gut instinct, some fear of God. Yeah. I don't think she's a God fearing woman, clearly. I don't think any of them are God fearing. They don't come across it to me. So, really quick, we're going to wrap this up. We do know that the prosecution supposedly is planning to call Tyler Robinson's mom and dad and Lance Twiggs to testify. I think this is going to be interesting because there's a lot of people that when they're testifying for the prosecution, like they're being questioned by the prosecution, they hold up pretty good. Obviously, you do trial and mock trials where they question you and they try to prepare you for what it's going to be like to be up there. And obviously, I think you have a comfort level at that point because you've gone, you know what I mean? With lawyers, they do that. So I think by that point, you're kind of somewhat to an extent comfortable, but I don't think it gives the same, it doesn't pack the same punch when it comes time for cross-examination is what I'm trying to say. Once you're on cross-examination, I think people fall apart. Again, I'll bring it back to Karen Reed. We watch that. A lot of, people that were testifying in favor of the prosecution did good with the prosecution, questioning them. And then, when it came to Unetti or Alan Jackson or Alessi questioning them when it came to the defense, they all of a sudden, it's like they didn't even know what words to use. They all of a sudden didn't have answers like, oh, I don't recall. I don't remember. It was like totally, I mean, they tanked being cross-examined. So I think it's going to be interesting. You have to have a really strong witness to be able to sit in that hot seat and be pounded with tough questions, pressured. Maybe they reword the question a little bit, and ask you it again. And it can be, stressful. You watch people, they look very stressed out. So I find it hard to think about like Lance Twiggs being up on the stand. Sorry, guys. And, just like being like a star witness here for the prosecution and just like totally acing, being cross-examined. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting if this is if the media is allowed in there and we actually get to see all this on TV. If we make it that far, who knows? And I'll be curious to see who's going to slip up. Maybe his parents. I think Lance, I find it hard to believe that he's going to tolerate that kind of stress well. I don't know why. I think he's already comes across as a very fragile person in general. And then that kind of pressure, I don't know that that's going to go over well for him. I'm curious to see how that's all going to unfold. And again, I'm hoping that, this being a state case, that we're allowed to have cameras in the courtroom. I think it's so important because of the speculation around this, especially that we are allowed that transparency. So We know that Lance Twiggs is cooperating with law enforcement. They've said that, he's answered, their questions and allegedly provided them with whatever it is they're asking for. So again, there's several questions about his involvement that day. Why was he not charged with anything? They brought him in for questioning, but he was never even looked at as an accomplice. But he had knowledge of this and did not call the police and say, hey, my boyfriend did this. What do you call that? That's not innocent. You know what I mean? And I have to believe that if that's the case, okay, if he in fact is cooperating with them and he has not been charged with something, that he lawyered up, invoked his Fifth Amendment, and came up and, they made some kind of plea deal to make sure that he gets immunity in exchange for his testimony against Tyler Robinson. Because you mean to tell me you wouldn't do that for yourself? I think a lawyer immediately is going to tell him to do that. So there's got to be an exchange for his testimony, I'm sure, because again, he has not been charged with anything and he had federal protection. Remember, they told us that he was being protected by the feds. So I usually you don't see that, right? Do you guys remember, again, I always go back to Karen Reed because there was so much with Karen Reed. Higgy, he didn't get federal protection and he was going to testify, right? None of them got federal protection. So, and they testified. So why would Lance Twiggs have that? It's all weird, right? So I just wanted to leave you guys with that. I'm sure that, you guys, I think we've all probably thought the same thing. I don't think I'm saying anything that's, not been heard of or people aren't aware of. If you watch true crime and you watch court cases, I'm sure you guys all know that. But I just wanted to leave it on that note. CNN said Michael J. Fox died. Oops. Interesting. Let's see. I'm just going through a couple more of your messages and then we're going to hop off here and then I'll see you guys live next week on Wednesday. We'll do 12:30 during the day. We'll see how that goes again. Because I'm sure next week Candace is going to be back. I did not know Candace was going to go live today. I had no idea. So I was shocked when you guys told me that. I don't know. Was she live or did she just post a video or a short or something? Because I do know that every day she was like posting some kind of 20-minute video on different topics. I had no idea that she was live. She said she wasn't coming back until she was taking all this week off. So I figured, okay, well, since Candace isn't on and I didn't see that anyone, okay, she was live. It didn't seem like anyone else was going to be live. I was like, okay, well, I'll go in the evening and, that should be a good live. Let's see. Just running through the comments really quick, making sure I miss anything. Oh, let's see what this says about Karen Reed. Something else I remember about Karen Reed trial. We didn't get one step closer to justice for the O'Keefes. No, but I do think, well, first off, the problem is they spent 2 trials trying to charge her when the prosecution knew dang well they didn't have what they needed to do that. Hence why they had a mistrial. And then she was found not guilty. And so for that reason, unfortunately, I don't think unless somebody confesses or by miracle, we're ever going to know that for sure. It's going to be one of those things where we kind of have an idea, right? For everyone who kept up with it, which is sad. It's not fair. But again, Morrissey, even Morrissey with this, with the Sandra Birchmore stuff, DNA came out with that recently, new DNA evidence. And I'm going to do a video on that, but I'm going to go back to like what happened to Sandra Birchmore and then everything that's come out new. That is very tight knit with the Karen Reed case. Some of the detectives and officers overlap that were not good police work, in other words. So that in itself is a problem. But Morrissey, made mistakes with that and screwed that up. So there's a lot of issues with the Birchmore case. And I feel bad for her. She was 20 years old, I think, 20 when she was killed. There's a the date is wrong on page 7. I have to look. He recently proffered to, it's sealed, but Higgy said something. Yeah, I knew that Higgins probably there's probably a proffer deal. Everyone said no, but I was like, I think he was singing like a canary. No, nothing new. But oh well, you are great to listen to. We all know Tyler Robinson is just a patsy. Thank you, Joey. Let's see. He admitted to them and then got used as a patsy. May have let him use his gun. There's something there. I think it was something like he let them use it, or he said, okay, I'll just place it, or whatever. Who knows? It's just crazy. She went live, but it was responding to Trump's crash outs. Yeah, I figured she was going to have response for that, but I figured she would have waited till Monday. There are old Candace videos I've been watching her since she was a little squirrel. Love that lady. It's been joyful to watch her grow and learn in real time. Yeah, it's always nice when you're with somebody from the beginning and you watch them through their growth. That's always nice. Have a good weekend, everyone. Thanks for the show, Nicole and crew. Happy birthday again. Thank you so much, Gregory. Anyone who lost a close family member, especially tragically, knows that Erica wasn't too torn up. Yeah, I agree. Especially like out of nowhere too, like unexpectedly. Yeah. All right, guys. So we're going to hop out of here. Again, I appreciate all the birthday wishes. Thank you so much for being with us for the last 2 hours and 48 minutes. You guys are amazing. I will continue to put out videos live on Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. So it'll be during the day. Hopefully it'll be a productive live. And we will go from there. Again, it'll probably be on some of the Kirk stuff. I'll see what else I put together. But again, next week, a lot of the videos will be not only just Charlie Kirk related, but we will, there'll be several true crime ones coming out. There's a lot of things I want to talk about, even some old cases, some corruption that I think happened that's like just hasn't been brought to the forefront, or, more of a conspiracy, I guess. So be on the lookout for that stuff. But that's the plan for now. And we'll go from there. But Wednesday, 12:30. Let me just check what Wednesday is just to make sure, because I just want to make sure my mom. Okay, the 15th. Yeah. So, because I'll definitely do that live, because I won't be able to do a live until probably that following, not that following. Well, maybe the 24th. I'll come back to that, but we'll see. If my mom's here and she's napping or something, or we have some downtime, maybe I'll hop on one for an hour or something, but it just depends. It just depends on what the plan is. When family's in town, it's like we're in 1,000 different directions, doing 1,000 things. It's always like boom, 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 going to the beach, the pool, you know what I mean? Wherever they want to go. I love having people here, but it is tiring. For me, it is. I think for most people it is, but All right. I hope you guys all have a great weekend. Be safe as always. Praying for you guys. God bless you. And I will see you guys next week.